Discord notifications. Hi, Cole. Hello. Hi.
I can't hear
Oh, hello?
you. Hopefully, I don't have a echo today. We'll see.
Can you hear me?
Hmm.
Okay, just making sure.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Just
Okay.
umbrella affirmative care. What age? It depends on what and when. It's kind of like a progressive thing. So, like obviously, socially transitioning, the negative side effects are so incredibly like low in terms of possibilities of like any like regret. Um, that it's going to be basically whenever somebody wants to. Things like puberty blockers, of course, can't actually do anything until people are going to enter like puberty, such as Tanner stage 2. Um, and beyond that, it's down to what is seen as like medically necessary and what would help individuals.
You're free to request up to discuss it too further if you have questions or anything like that.
No, we only let friendlies up. We don't want to hear any. No. Yeah. How's your day going, Cole?
Um, all right. It's off, so that's good.
It's all for you're off.
I'm off today,
Oh, okay.
so it's an off day, is what I meant. Yeah.
Um, so puberty blockers don't actually help, um, or they don't actually like prevent fertility. When people are on puberty blockers, usually they're not fertile to begin with. If you allow puberty to continue on, because you didn't decide to go ahead and go on like gender affirming hormones, your puberty will go on normally, and there's almost no, uh, I don't even think there's even like a documented, uh, risk of like infertility as long as you just as long as you go on them after, like, if you wait 5 years and you can't go through puberty normally, yeah, there's going to be issues. But puberty blockers is generally seen as like something that is like 2 years at most, if you don't want to go into like gender affirming hormones.
Hmm. And
Those
Michelle,
might cause
request
infertility.
up.
Those are known to cause infertility, and that's very well known.
We know what we're doing before we do it, essentially.
Yeah, yeah, hot take. Kids not being alive anymore causes more infertility. It's like they can't actually produce something if they can't,
So
their body's not
accurate, like.
alive in the first place. Um, yeah, I think that like still technically speaking, it would be more fertility if we just like didn't let people do gender affirming hormones, but like that just caused more harm in my opinion. So that's
Kids' infertility, to interject, sorry, it does feel weird as fuck. Like, I don't know why anyone cares about a child's ability to be fertile or not. Like,
yeah,
that is really weird.
prepubescent teens are not fertile. This is just what puberty does. It makes you fertile. It's like literally like if you look at the definition of of puberty, usually includes something about fertility. Um, but yeah, in terms of the future, yeah, it's looking at the future. But puberty blockers by themselves, if they're used within like 2 to 3 years only, they don't have any issues in terms of infertility. Um, you do have a request if they load in. That is. Hi, could I get your age and pronouns, please?
I'm 23. She, her.
Do you disagree that I should support transgender individuals and affirmative care?
Affirmative care in what regard?
Pretty much across the board in terms of offering things such as social transitioning, puberty blockers, gender affirming hormones, surgery at all at acceptable ages.
I mean, my like kind of definition of to affirm is to say yes and like provide like so it's to back up a belief which I don't hold to be true. I don't believe anyone's born essentially in the wrong body.
So that would be just a rejection of the medical consensus that being transgender, it's like being homosexual in the same way that this is just a natural variation of human experience. It is a natural expectation of or a natural variation within expected human identities. Um, it
I can't really hear you very well. I don't know if it's sorry. I don't know if it's an issue on my end.
I am kind of pointed away from the mic, so that might help. If I
Yeah,
Is
that
that
no,
better?
that's a lot better.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's just an expected variation within human identity. Essentially, that is what being trans is, and that's what the medical
Okay,
consensus is. So
okay, but like, okay, so an identity to me is like to identify something's to acknowledge. And because the prerequisite to say being a trans woman, for example, is to be male, they've already acknowledged that they're male.
yeah,
So
so
how can you? So are they identifying with like certain aspects of
Do you
what
think
they
sex and
perceive?
gender are the same thing?
Almost, yeah, not quite.
the so
Well,
yeah, that's not quite the case. Gender is something that's entirely socially constructed. It has been, I mean, at least for most of human history, had something to do with the sex of the individual.
Hmm.
And this is just based off of the fact that these things are gonna like emerge because we have two different sexes. There's gonna be one, and due to our like sexual dimorphism, so
Hmm.
male and females are like females
Different,
are
yeah.
typically a little bit shorter, but they're better at retaining things such as fats and in order to give birth to children. While males
Hmm.
are more lean and tend to be taller, which is better for hunting. And so there's going to
Hmm.
be at least some within a society of people who have different essentially roles, even at like a hunter gatherer, like uh, from like a hunter gatherer
Yeah, but
perspective, it's there's going to be different roles, and there we're going to get these ideas of sex roles. But that doesn't mean that somebody who identifies, it feels more comfortable with roles and looking like and fitting in with
yeah, but I
members of the other
sorry.
sex is necessarily wrong.
Okay, yeah, but I think it's regressive to strictly define women by these sex-based roles, by a certain expression, and um, like by this general consensus, because we've kind of established that the roles that are allocated to women, even if they are a commonality, a lot of them are regressive and they're oppressive. So I don't agree with strictly defining a woman on that basis. I understand that perhaps how we perceive someone is like we perceive like when we think of a depiction of a woman, it's someone with like long hair with the secondary sex characteristics, like will wear a dress. But again, I think that's regressive, and we should abolish that, and therefore the defining of women by that.
Yeah, so I'm not saying anything like at least in that part. I wasn't saying anything about how these gender roles are or how they ought to be. They
Hmm.
exist within our society and people identify with them. That is the only thing I'm relying on. I'm
and
not
they're
saying that.
unique to each person.
Yeah. So
Pardon?
so oh, go ahead, Cole.
Sorry, I didn't. No, sorry, I didn't hear that. What Cole said.
I just said that it's unique to each person.
Mhm. Well, like their interpretation of a woman. I mean, yeah, but then
Exactly, yeah.
okay, so if you're saying that a woman's a completely subjective concept, then how do we protect women in like law, legislature? And then if you say you're putting males into that category, I feel like we're denying the dimorphism that even I guess like secondary can be mutable, but then we're denying the other like differences that
They
come with the trans.
acknowledge, that's the thing, they acknowledge that they're male women.
I'd
Protecting
say that's
women
a
doesn't mean
contradiction.
protecting females explicitly. It means protecting women, regardless of their sex.
Okay, but when you say male woman, I think that's a contradiction because my
Because you think they're the
definition.
same thing.
A male and a woman. No, I don't think they're the same thing. I think
No, of sex and gender.
yeah, I think a woman's just a adult human female, and I feel like that encompasses all females and all women and excludes males. Um,
Do
so
you
I don't.
understand that there's a definition of female that functions under a social setting instead of a strictly biological one?
Yeah, do you want to? Well, no, I've not heard of that. Would you like to give that to me?
Well, again, I can't bring things up like So can, but if you want to bring up the definition of female, usually it says of or denoting to somebody who is capable of producing large gametes. And that
Mhm.
doesn't specifically apply to females. There are people with Swyer syndrome who have like XY chromosomes, for example.
Mhm.
There are five sex characteristics that apply to each sex. But
I don't believe in this.
you can listen. This is what
Okay.
science says. You can have mixed sex characteristics. You can have male and female sex characteristics. That's the thing. So these women who are definitely women, trans or not, whether they're intersex or trans, they're still women. Like because they denote to being female at the very least. Because if you
How
look
does
up
a
the
male
definition of
denote?
because if you look up the definition of denoting to
Mark,
things
what is
like
it?
long hair, having breasts, and wearing feminine clothing, things like that can denote to the production of large gametes.
No, that's ridiculous. You're saying that because somebody has long hair, that denotes to the production of large gametes. That's
It
ridiculous because we're
can.
obviously no, we're talking about the biological sense. So again, we're on
Gender
about
isn't biological, it's
hang on.
neuropsychosocial.
How would that denote to being a female the fact that you have long hair?
Because in our system, or I
No,
should
no,
say
no. Hang on. What?
specifically,
No, a fem. Wait,
I'm trying to
hang on.
answer you. Do you want me to
Hang
answer
on.
you
No,
or
no, no.
no?
Because I've no, because
You
I've
don't. Okay, cool.
I've misworded my question. So you're saying having long hair and wearing dresses denotes to the production of large gametes. That's essentially what you've said. Like, correct me if I'm wrong.
Those are two of the things that can not necessarily do, but they can denote to the production of large gametes. Yes.
That's ridiculous. So if I was a male with long hair who wore a dress, then I'd denote to the production of large gametes.
You
I feel like that.
can, not that you do, but
Oh
you
my God,
can.
Cole, please listen.
Do
Right,
you
please
understand
listen.
this differentiation or no?
That no, you cannot denote to the your biology is the reference when we're on about denoting to the production of
Oh,
large
so when
gametes.
you look at a woman, you see her biology and
No,
not.
you're straw manning me.
Well, I'm trying to understand
No,
you.
you're
I'm
straw
asking you a
manning me.
question. Can you
Okay,
answer my
so
question?
no, we don't see biology. We see aspects of biology.
And those aspects are
Aspects of
flesh
Yeah,
of
so
what?
that'd be secondary sex characteristics. But then we understand that secondary sex characteristics are exclusively mutual to females. Men can have
Oh, that's
gynecomastia.
funny.
Well,
Because
Hang
hold
on.
trans
on.
women,
It's not even like
trans,
secondary sex characteristics because we're not like stripping people down or like looking at their internal organs. So
Secondary
it's
references breasts and hips in women, lack of
well,
facial
guess
hair.
what? Trans women have that. Trans women have
They
that.
still
That's so
don't denote to
wild.
the production. Their body's
Yes, they
not
sure
struck.
as fuck
Hang
do.
on.
You just
Hang on.
literally
If they're
conceded.
male,
I'm sorry. That's so
hang on. If
funny.
they're male, their body isn't structured around producing small gametes.
Their body
I
isn't, but
mean,
their
their body is.
denotation is too.
No, you're running with the word
Of large
denote.
gametes.
Yeah, you're running with the word denotion. So we're on about when we're saying female, we're referencing biology, right? We're not referencing the social aspects. We're not saying that someone who wears a dress and long hair
But woman, I said woman.
denotes.
You are saying something, you're putting words in my mouth. You are
Go.
saying something I didn't say. Women have oftentimes breasts, wear dresses, long hair, things of that sort, hips, like curves.
Yeah, that's an
Trans
archetype.
women can denote to that, and I don't see what you don't get about that. Not that they do, but that they can.
So hang
I
on, how
don't
can
get
they
what you're
mark?
not seeing.
Because you're saying that one archetype of woman, and
Trans
you're
women
holding. Hang
have
on, hang on.
breasts.
hang on. When you're saying common, okay, cool. Yes,
Sometimes they sure
they
as hell
don't have
do.
like the same breast. They have breast tissue. They don't have the same breasts as like
It is the
a
same exact as
female.
females.
It's
It
not exactly
is.
the same.
Talk to an endocrinologist. I don't know what to tell you.
So
Talk
let me
to a
ask you this:
scientist.
Sure.
if I took a male's brain and put it in a female's body, what gender
Mhm.
would they identify as? Do you think?
Well, I mean, the brain's like neuroplastic. They'd have experiences prior of being in a female body, so I don't actually know, but that's a really stupid hypothetical because you're on
It's
about someone who
it's not as
lived
stupid as
as
you
a
think.
man, socialized as a man, has had male anatomy, and then suddenly has gone into a female body. Like
What
I
does
don't know.
anatomy have
That's
anything to do with how they live? It doesn't.
well, they'd probably just like live as best as they can.
Yeah, so
As like this is a silly hypothetical. Like to be fair, to be like really
so
thrown
when
out
people
there.
transition at least socially transition at early ages, they
Uh-huh.
far more experience like realities that align with outside of biological aspects. They experience day-to-day life as a member of the opposite gender, or with as they identify as or sorry, they experience the world as a member of that gender that they identify with, not
Yeah, the
that doesn't
gender
align with the
opposite to their
sex.
sex.
Yeah,
Yeah, but then
Exactly.
passing, hang on, perception's subjective and so is passing. So
yeah. I
you
don't care
can't like
about
definitively
passing.
say that.
I could.
Yeah, but I'm saying, okay, so like you'd have to have elements of people like perceiving you as such to then have the continuum of you like living in society as like the sex that you want to be perceived as. But what I'm saying is that's like highly subjective.
So like everybody has a highly unique experience in life.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
even just like the little things. I played lacrosse and tennis as when I was growing up, and soccer. Um, not every man or not every guy did that. Um, some were on the cheer team, some were on um, the football team. I didn't do those things. They
Hmm.
still identify as a man. It's what we do in life is highly unique. So it's more of looking at how they perceive themselves and others perceive them, and what they feel most comfortable in. That I find is the most important thing.
Yeah, but
Um,
that's a really like fine line. You can say a lot of other things. If you're saying gender's a social construct, you could say a lot of other things are social constructs, and then say
It's
that it
not
doesn't
just
matter.
a social construct. We're not saying that.
I mean,
Okay, like cool. I feel like you're being like pretty hostile.
if there's no society, these ideas don't exist.
Uh-huh. But I'm saying that the ideas that hold women to this standard are like sexist, and when you're saying you fulfill these roles, therefore you're a woman, we've already established that like a woman can be anything as long as they fit the criteria, like to me to fit the criteria of female. Like I don't hold women to any standard. I'd say there's a like a there's a trope of women. There's commonalities within women, but that shouldn't define what they are.
Do you think that butch women identify as men?
No, but what does identifying as a man
So,
mean?
so, 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 do you think that trans men identify as men?
I don't know what to identify as a man is.
I need you did a second ago because you just answered my previous
No,
question.
but
So answer this
no.
question based off
Hang
of the
on.
same thing.
To identify is to acknowledge that you're a woman. Like for me to
Okay,
acknowledge that I'm a
let
woman would
let
be
me
me
let,
acknowledging that I'm female.
So
Marion, let me explain something to you. Sorry, really quickly. Do you or I could put it as a question, but I'm just gonna say it instead.
Hmm.
Trans women do not identify as female, and trans men do not identify as male. Does that
Okay.
help you at all?
How can they not identify with male when that's inherently what they are?
The whole definition of being trans is that your sex and your gender do not align, meaning that a trans woman has to be male in order to be trans, and that a
Uh-huh.
trans man has to be female in order to be trans.
Yeah, I get that, but I'm saying how can you identify? You can identify with aspects and commonalities, and like
I
certain traits.
identify with my gender, I acknowledge my sex. How's that?
I don't like. I still don't get it. Like maybe I'm just like being dense, but I'm saying
Acknowledging facts and identifying, like learning who you are, typically through to the ages of 3 and 7, is when you'll develop gender identity, based off of what you've seen around you throughout your lifetime and in other relationships and other people's gender expressions. Which is why it's subjective, why
So
gender
why
is
is it a
subjective.
gender
Let me
expression? Why is it
finish, let me finish, let
okay?
me finish, let
Sorry.
me finish, let me finish, let me finish, let me finish. Thank you. Oh, that's so funny. I'm gonna do a little song and dance out of it. Anyways, so discovering your identity is different than realizing the facts of your biology. Facts and identity just simply like are are different in that way. Like you have to accept somebody's identity for what they know in their brain, because you being a woman, you said you use she her pronouns, so you being a woman is your identity just as much as it is a trans woman being a woman. It's
But
part of their identity. It's
okay,
in your brain. It's not attached to your biology at
okay,
all.
but I yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that I'm a woman because it's contingent on my sex. That's what makes me a
Then you're
woman.
just wrong according to science.
Okay, and that's fine. Like, can you
Oh,
like
well then
refute
I
that?
mean there's nothing we can teach you if you think that's
I
fine
mean,
to
you're saying
disagree
like
with
there's
science
such
in that
thing as
way.
like brain. You're saying there's such thing as like an objective male and female brain, and that's just incorrect.
Wow. Undereducated as fuck. Love it.
No, I'm saying that's incorrect. There's no objective male and female brain, and even if there was, let's okay, let's like steelman it. Say there's an objective female and male brain. The like the
And
only like
actually, I don't believe that,
functionality.
just to be clear. I do not believe that. I do not agree with that because I'm fucking non binary. Do you think
Okay,
I have a male or a female brain? No, the fuck I don't.
exactly like that's what I'm arguing again. Like I don't know why you're so
Oh,
hostile,
so you
Paul. Like
do
I've come
think
up
that
and I've
non
been
binary people
okay.
are valid in that way?
I think sex is binary, so
Do,
no.
you're
Sex
just
can.
wrong. It's
It's
bimodal.
It's
bimodal.
not
It's a
There's
bimodal.
spectrum.
It's
yeah.
not bimodal. No, because the only measurable thing, if you want to go by the cluster concept, the only measurable thing and the only thing that's mutable is hormones. So
Do you still
I
have
don't
those
think
overlapping bell
bimodal.
curves
Oh, I might have actually
screenshot
gotten rid
still?
of those.
Because if you
That was it.
happen to
I
have
think.
it, it would be helpful.
Nope.
But
That's a
I think that
sable.
really
Nope.
well, yeah, that is indeed disable.
Nope.
I think that's
That's
really
confusion. Yeah.
helpful,
No, I
at
don't have
least
it.
for visual
Give
learners
me a
like
second.
myself.
I
Okay,
can pull it back up. I do have
cool,
it.
cool, cool, good. I hope this helps you, Marion, because at least visual helps for me. We teach how we learn typically. If you learn a different way, please bring that up. But the bell curves of like how, see, that's gender based.
Oh, do you
Okay,
want
okay.
the do?
There's sex on the other one.
Yeah.
I
Oh, I
want
know what
the
you're talking
overlapping
about.
bell curves, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and that's strictly based on sex. It does not have anything to do with gender. It's strictly based on sex.
So what is
So
gender?
I hope
Okay, so what's your definition of gender? Without referencing like.
I look at scientific definitions, like, because
Okay,
science is consistent in that way.
I'm just saying like, can you perhaps give me one?
I know that a characteristic of it, this is not a definition to be clear, but a
hmm
characteristic of it is that it's a biopsychosocial schema.
The bios. Okay, so I kind of know what a social schema is. I'm a bit like hazy on what a bio social schema would be.
Do you know what a neuroschema is? Well, the schema is the combo of all three, but do you know what neurology is?
Yeah, I know what neurology
And
is.
and you know what biology is?
Yeah, I know what biology
And you
is.
know what sociology is?
Yeah, I know what
Saying
sociology is.
it's a neuropsychosocial schema just means that gender itself includes all three of those things. The schema is all three of them
Okay,
at once.
so they societally present as women. Okay, I'd say that's subjective, but yeah, sure.
Who does?
Trans women. Okay, so I'd kind
Oh,
of say yeah.
okay.
Okay, so I'd say yeah, sure. Okay, they can be perceived as such. They can try like acclimate. That's fine. You're saying bio. they don't have the correct biology. You can say that. I wouldn't say sex is
Marion,
mutable.
to help you understand, is brain a part of your biology?
Yeah, but I'd say that
Well,
there's no
then it all
objective
comes
female
back
or
to your
male brain.
brain. You can't have the the psycho aspect without the neuro aspect.
Okay, sure, but then I'd say that I don't believe in brain sex, and I believe that the only functionality differences, other than like the BNST, is like the grey matter and the white matter. So,
I mean, these things are highly
I don't.
important. It's part of our brain.
well, the
Yeah,
grey
but
matter and
I
white
don't
matter is like
necessarily rely.
processing skills and
Marion. I do not
cool. Like you're
necessarily
like
rely.
shouting over me.
Marion. I do not necessarily. I could mute you if I wanted to. I just haven't yet, out of respect. Um, I agree that not all trans women's brains will show the brain sex of women specifically in every area of their brains. I do not agree that trans men's brains will show being a man in every aspect of their brain. Okay? So let's pivot to something else that I actually disagree with, although it is
Yeah,
important
but
and
you keep bringing it
accurate.
up. You keep bringing that up. You're bringing up
You're
neuro.
the one
You're
who's
bringing up
brought
the
it up.
biological. So
Okay,
I'd say
okay, biology.
societally.
Look at the graph, Marion. Look at the graph. Intersex people exist. Gender, or not gender, sex is not a
Mm,
binary. It is a
it is.
bimodal distribution, which is shown to you on the graph.
Okay, so intersex would be like a to be in the middle of male and female because you can't really quantify how much of a man someone
Mainly
is.
female
Hang
in the
on,
middle?
hang
What a
on,
contradiction.
hang on. You're not letting me speak. You're like jumping over me. So intersex for them to be in the middle of male and female, that'd mean that they'd be hermaphroditic because what?
No,
Whoa,
incorrect.
don't use that
Yeah.
word in
No,
reference to
no,
people.
you're
No,
allowed
What?
no,
to.
no, no, no,
Okay,
no,
So,
no,
right.
no, no.
Okay,
Cole,
Listen,
okay.
hold on,
Marianne,
hold
we're gonna
on.
mute you.
Hang on, you're
We
not
need to
letting me
mute
speak.
you to explain. We need to mute you to explain. Okay, listen.
Cole,
Um,
they understand
the
that.
H,
Cole, they understand that
what?
that people aren't hermaphrodites. They're using it as an example. They understand. I'm pretty sure they understand that
Okay,
humans
Yeah,
can't be.
yeah, I know the
okay.
I
correct
didn't
way
want
is
you to crash out
I'm
over
BSD.
like,
something so simple. I'm like, whoa,
sorry,
whoa,
No,
whoa,
sorry,
no,
whoa.
sorry.
the
Pump the
correct
Apparently
way
I
is
brakes.
missed
BSD.
something.
I'm saying that we'd be spontaneously or we'd be subsequently like hermaphrodite. No, yeah, we'd be
We, as
spontaneously.
humans,
No.
Yeah, we're
So
not. We're gynochoric.
yeah.
So even
So
if you want to say that sex is bimodal, it's already distributed natally, and the only thing that's malleable is hormones. But then you'd think that the body's reaction to them hormones is still in a female manner. It'd still mess up the endocrinology because the body's still
what?
structured around.
Are you
Um,
trying to say intersex people are females? I'm trying to
no, I'm
understand.
saying that
Sorry.
either male or female, the only way it'd be smack in the middle of the chart would be if they were essentially both, which there's never been a case. There's been like
Do you
tissue.
see how, wait. Do you see how the middle of that chart where it says intersex does not reach the bottom of the
Okay, yeah,
chart?
okay. Yeah. I think I've
Wow, and it
misread it then.
counts for that. Crazy.
So what this is
Okay.
looking at here is that like you can look at any sort of individual factor or even a combination of factors that apply to males and females, and what you'll see is things such as height, hormone, the amount of hormones of any particular one,
Mhm.
the size of any sort of like what is it like penile structures. They're going to follow a bimodal structure where not there's this middle section where people are going to have aspects that aren't quite typical of the male. Like they're bigger than males or smaller than males,
Mhm.
but also bigger or smaller than females typically. And they kind of fall in between. So if you look at like this goes for anything such as height. Let's see, height, muscle mass, bone density, all these
I
things.
also need to say,
It
sorry, real quick, anything between B and C on that graph is considered to be intersex, and that entire population is the same
well, Cole,
or
no, I'm just gonna
approximately the
reject this.
same
This is not what
as
intersex conditions are.
redheads.
Yeah, but they're still male or female. They're not a
So
third sex.
it
Well,
this
I know
is
that part,
this is if you're
but being
strictly looking at biological sex. So and
Mhm.
intersex typically has like a strict definition of like having chromosomes or like having chromosomes that don't quite match up with your biology or your like physical body.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so like there is it's a bit more complicated. In terms of like what we call intersex people, there is like a strict definition, and you would only could call somebody intersex if you're only looking at like some sort of biological sex here, like this.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, but I'm just still saying that they're male or female regardless. As it said, they
yeah, you
don't
can just
reach
draw an
the
arbitrary
regressive.
line and say one side's male and one side's female.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
But
yeah,
I
so
just
that
reject
this
that
is
this
what I
arbitrary
mean.
line means anything.
I'm still correct, though, in my point
Yeah,
I
you
that
still
are.
don't
anything
think sex
It's
between
is
B
just
and C
bimodal.
is intersex, and that population is about the same population in the world as redheads.
it,
Like,
it
it's
wouldn't
not
it wouldn't be
even
B and
rare.
C necessarily. It's because these is the bimodal structure is the result of two overlapping graphs. Um,
Yeah, but listen, so you either have one that's male, four that are female, two that are male, three that are female, so on and so forth. So anything that combines like both sex characteristics would be considered intersex, right?
so it'd be like
Uh-huh.
let me show you this. This is I have actual.
But it's like what I'm saying is it's still binary because they're either one or the other. Like they're not both. They're not neither.
You
They're
can't
not
split a
separate.
line down the middle of the graph because there are five sex characteristics. That's an odd number.
Yeah, but what
Maybe
I'm
you
saying
could if
is
there
for
were three, or if people could have both functioning female and male sex organs at the same time, but that's not the case.
okay, so we
So like
okay, so
we are in the bottom section where there's a gap or there's a like a mixing between of dimorphic features where people can have like a featured like height where there's some females that are taller than males at their like fully grown. If sex was truly binary, we would have it more like the top image or the top graph where there's a gap between them and there's nothing in between. It's strictly male or female. But we don't see that in like day to day life.
okay, so like these attributes are like commonalities. Like I understand that like height, P&L size, everything else. But what I'm saying is their body's still structured around the production. So yeah, I'd still say sex is binary. Some aspects of it might be bimodal, but that doesn't like P&L size, height difference. That they're not definers of sex.
Are they not?
Well, the five sex characteristics are.
Yeah.
Um. Okay, so you think we can measure so we can measure gonads. I'd say the only thing that's measurable, quantifiable, is perhaps hormones.
Like we can actually know how.
Probably external genitalia would be the first one I would say as observable, considering that's how
No,
you
I'm saying
get your
quantifiable.
sex assigned at birth.
Yeah, that is the
No, I'm saying
primary one that we use.
quantifiable.
Like,
So
Yeah,
wait, hang on. You're
we can
saying
take a
wait.
ruler out and like measure people's penises at birth. This is something we can do. We really don't do it often,
so your
outside of just knowing
secondary,
what it is for research purposes. But
So what you're saying is if I had like a really small penis, that'd make me like less of a man because you're like quantifying these sex traits and saying,
you
well,
may have mixed sex characteristics as somebody with a smaller phallus as a child. As an infant, when you're determined at birth, you might be determined female at birth,
but
and
that
that could be
you'd
is
incorrect. And then
yeah,
you
but you'd
hit
still be
puberty and
male.
it grows, and you understand that you are intersex. Maybe you're even intersex male, that's possible, but you could be intersex female with a phallus. Like, I don't understand what you don't
What can
understand.
okay,
People with ovotesthesis exist.
what's ovotesthesis? I know what ovotestic.
See, you don't even
Ovulate.
know what the fuck you're arguing.
No, I just feel like you're being like really hostile, Cole, and I came up for like a conducive debate, and you just like keep like
I
dunking on
mean,
me.
hell, if it'll keep you up here for me to drop and you to discuss this with the host only, I'll do it. I don't give a fuck.
Nobody's saying that. Nobody's
Okay,
saying
well
that. I'm just
then I'll
asking
stay
like,
here and I'm gonna
okay, that's
be
fine. I
me.
don't have a contention. Like, I don't have no contention with you. I just asked. I was gonna say
Hi, Salvage.
I know what over testicular is, and that's like, yeah, I know what that is, but I'm saying, what's ovotesthesis? I asked a question and you're like shitting on me for it.
So it's
That
when
is that is having an ovotesticular DSD.
yeah, so
If
it's
you know
That's
what
so cool.
ovotesticular is, it's the same. It's just a state of having that.
it's when a go
So
when a gonad contains both ovarian and testicular um, tissue. Essentially, it
yeah,
doesn't mean that both are
okay,
functional, but it just it contains the tissue because there are
yeah.
like
So
individual like how our cells work is that we can start, at least I think for ovaries and testes, they a lot of our cells start from things such as stem cells, and then based off of hormones, proteins, other things like that,
do you mean
they
like gameticides? Sorry. Do you mean like gameticides? So like the premature like cells of the egg. So that's like what makes them not, because they're not like gametes. They're like gameticides. So they're not the actual um cell itself. It's like the premature cell,
um
because it's
I
like tissue. Yeah, it's like tissue, right? So it's not like, yeah. So even if they have like a mixture, because one's not functioning, you'd put the functionality over the tissue, I guess, because it's not developed.
The
And then you'd
point
obviously,
is, listen, Marion, the point is they still have mixed sex characteristics. You cannot just look at gametes and secondary sex characteristics. You have to look at all five. And if you aren't looking
yeah.
at all five, then you can't properly determine someone's sex,
Okay,
even
so
if they're
like,
intersex, if they're intersex female or intersex male.
mhm. No, I get that. Okay, cool. So like in the case of like ACIS, because they have, I think they've gone through the Wolffian pathway, right? They phenotypically present as female. Their body reacts in a female, I don't know how to word it, in like a female manner. Their body's still structured like around the production of gametes, even though they have like non-functioning testicles, right? So they're still categorized as female, and it'd be like the primary denotation to get pregnant would be the primary characteristic. So then I'd kind of say that some of them some characteristics are put, like they're not the definers of sex. I wouldn't say it's the amalgamation either. It's more so the structure of like the body. Um, so it'd be like, say I present male, but then I've got like the Mullerian pathway. I still have the primary denotation to impregnate someone, which would be to have like a phallus. So yeah, I'm a bit hazy on some stuff myself.
Yeah, if you admit you're hazy, that's good. It being important that there's five, again, an odd number of sex char- sorry,
characteristics.
characteristics. Yes, sometimes it's just difficult for me to articulate. Um, it's an odd number, so if you have three that are male and two that are female, obviously you would denote, or you would be considered at least medically male. But if you have
Mm.
three female and two male, then you would be medically considered female. No matter how you outwardly present to the world, like it's just important to take account of all of them and not just some of them.
Okay, so say I'm a healthy male. Um, how would I denote to the production of large gametes? How would I denote to that? And also, I'd argue that because I could already produce, or my body's already structured around doing so, how could I then change that? Because
Okay,
I feel
listen.
like,
Okay, okay. I'm gonna answer your question, and it's gonna be complicated, and I need you to listen, alright? So, trans women understand that they are biologically male, okay? Regardless of HRT or surgeries, making them have mixed sex characteristics, it
mm,
doesn't mean that they deny that they are still male, okay? These trans women are definitely still women and going through things like HRT and surgeries definitely make them denote to being capable of producing large gametes, whether they actually can or not. These gender affirming procedures and healthcare can definitely make a person denote to being able to, because like someone with boobs typically denotes to being able to produce large gametes. Whether they can or not, having boobs makes them denote that. Like that's just is what it is. Having breasts makes them denote that. And trans women oftentimes have breasts. Crazy how that works. So like they still denote to being female whether they are or they aren't.
So they aren't female. Exactly. You've said that they're not female. So the whole
Mm-hmm.
point is the whole thing that'd make them female is the denotion. So you're saying that they're not
No, it
female
doesn't
even though
make
they
them
denote.
female. It makes them women. It makes them women.
Yeah, but we're on about biology. Like, Cole, stop being so snarky with me, please. Like, I'm not being. I'm not
Be
like. I'm not
okay.
saying piercingly. It's
I
just in
don't
terms.
like being called snarky. Just hush for a second. So, you don't need to call people snarky when they're not being snarky and they're just giving you facts that you don't like. Being a woman has the definition of being um an adult human female, and being female has a definition of denoting to or being capable of, essentially, I'm paraphrasing, of or being capable of producing large gametes. Trans
Mm,
women fit this definition of female, this social definition of female, which means that they are adult human females in a social sense, which means that they are women, not that they are biologically, medically female, but that they are women. So don't dispute that they're female because they are sorry, trans women, male. They know that they're male, even if
mm,
they denote being an adult human female, which is a woman in your eyes. They know that they are medically, biologically male, nonetheless.
mm.
So don't dispute the fact that that like saying that they think they're female, because
I
they
never said
don't in a
they.
biological and medical sense.
I
In a
never said
social
that.
sense, they are.
I never said they think they're female. You're like putting words in my mouth there. What I'm saying is, to denote to the production of large gametes, we'd have to be taken into like whether they can or not would be like the body's capability to do so. So if it's structured around doing so, I'd say that even though they have
Denotion
second,
isn't
you're
science. Do
not
you
letting me
see
speak.
someone's
Hang on,
biology?
you're
Okay,
not
I'm
letting me
sorry. I'll
speak. You're
shut
not
up.
letting me. Yeah, you're not letting me speak. You keep like jumping like in on me, right? So I'm saying they're still not female in the social sense. They could be perceived as such, but then we've gone over the fact that perception does not negate reality. So, because like perception subjective and it's interpretive, I'd still say that they're males, and then I'd say that male women is a contradiction, and they don't denote, even though they have secondary sex characteristics commonly prescribed to women. I'd say that men can have wider hips, and that's still a commonality. And I'd say that removing gonads doesn't nullify it. Having SRS doesn't nullify it. It's still an inverted penis, and we're on about healthy males at this point. So we're not on about DSDs. I don't really want to bleed into that again. But I'm saying that a healthy male who just has changed his secondary sex characteristics still does not denote to the production of large gametes, which is the qualified
Then you
form.
don't know what denotion is
It,
versus
it
being
means
scientific.
morphing.
I let you finish, did I not? Sorry, did I interrupt you?
No, sorry.
Okay. So being scientifically and medically considered one sex does not mean that you do not denote being the opposite sex. You can still denote being a woman, being female, socially, specifically, and have male biology. You can still denote being a man and have female biology. I don't understand like where you're what you're missing here.
Because you're saying in one aspect they're female, I'm saying they're still not female, they're male. You've kind of conceded already that they're still male. And then you're
They
saying because
are
they
male scientifically and
yes,
bio
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
medically.
Yeah, so they're still male, that's the prerequisite as well to be a trans woman. And then you're saying, well, in a social
Yeah.
sense, and I'm saying in a so like in a social sense that's still subjective, and I'd still say that male woman's a contradiction.
you're right in but like majority of people are going to see a person with breasts and think that's a woman, regardless of whether they're a male or a female, which you cannot see, which is my whole point here.
Mm-hmm. Well,
You
if
see breasts and you think woman, you do not think man. So I don't
large,
understand quite. Maybe Keaton can clear it up. I don't understand
hang on,
quite what you're missing here.
large.
I'm almost done. You're so close. Like I'm agreeing with like 80% of what you're saying at this point, which is rare for ops. You're
Uh-huh.
so close to understanding what I'm trying to communicate, yet you cannot grasp it. So again, maybe he can clear it up. Feel free to
Yeah, you're
respond now.
saying
Go
that
ahead.
they can be perceived as female due to the secondary sex characteristics. I'm agreeing with you also, but I'm still saying that they're still not female, even if they have this, even if that the secondary sex characteristics I'd say are like on the bottom of
I
if you want to
agree.
subscribe to like the cluster concept, they're at the bottom of the list of what's something of like the denotation to like to denote to. And I'd also argue that a lot of secondary sex characteristics on women aren't mutually exclusive to women. So like when you're overweight you get like a surge of estrogen. And then men can develop gynecomastia, they can have like more curvature. So then I'd say, does like being an overweight man then denote to the production of large gametes and therefore make them female in the social sense, like that, you know?
Well, so it depends on how.
Sorry, real quick, very, very quick. Kudos for knowing about gynecomastia. That's all.
Okay, Win, thank you.
So like gynecomastia is kind of like one of those things that like it's it does technically add in like towards a denotion of women.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean that like it's necessarily the case. I think it would almost be more productive if we like came from this from a different approach of like not just trying to define what a woman is, but like why there is really good reasons why. Like I don't know. I've always kind of ran with the thing more recently that I just don't care what people call women, because I don't think that it matters when it comes down to the fact that we have data that shows what we should be doing in order to reduce harm to individuals.
Sorry, real quick again. Thank you for letting me go down the semantics route for a minute. I know you hate it. I
Yeah.
knew you were going to redirect, but thank you for allowing me to practice that a little bit.
This
Thank you.
is why I don't do semantics, is because it just goes in a rabbit hole that I like. I'm a stoic lover. Even that's a rabbit hole I don't go down.
Great. Okay, go ahead, Mary.
No, I just kind of want to wait. You know that. Oh, okay, I was gonna like speak about a marsupial because I thought you like stoats and they're kind of similar. But when
Stoats
you're
and
saying it's what?
marsupials? What?
No, but they're like cute, and there was like a really
Oh,
cute like marsupial that was like recently found, but I can't remember its name. I was gonna say, oh, maybe you'd like the look of that. But anyway, yeah, we are saying like what we should do. I'd say, like my moral like compass is based on like not cultivating unnecessary harm, and I feel like women need to be safeguarded. We can't really blur the lines because now we have people saying that trans is just an adjective. And I just say that we need two distinct categories because there's two distinct biological categories. If you're gonna say in the social sense, sure, but then I'd say that a lot of like to safeguard, we need to be an acknowledgement of that, and we need places designated on the basis of the 6,500 differences of male and
Like I
female.
said, we do acknowledge that, like, trans people, trans women do acknowledge that they are male,
Mhm.
yet they are still women. And I think women need to be protected because women are the group that is proven to be at most risk for these types of things. Not, and again, we don't deny even trans women, and I'm not a trans woman, by the way, but trans women do not deny that they have differences from cis women. That's the fun part because you just brought up the
Mhm.
differences, and
Yeah.
trans people accept those differences, acknowledge those differences, and function based off of those differences. So I don't know where you're coming from because trans people do, sorry about that alarm, do not pretend to be cis. We don't pretend to be cis. So I don't know where that's coming from exactly.
Yeah, I'm just saying that. Okay, so when you're saying gender, you're referencing like expression, roles, societal like expectations, right? I'm saying like that their behaviors, and because it's based on society, they can be fluid, right? So we should base more things on anatomy, um, because that's objective,
Do you
and
think that,
that's.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was playing my nose. I've got a cold. My bad.
Okay. Um, do you think that spaces should be segregated based off of sex rather than gender, or nothing at all as an alternative, just having gender neutral spaces?
I think they should be based off of sex.
Do you know that trans women face um, multiple times the harm of cis women, their cis counterparts, and they are especially exposed to this harm in male spaces, men's spaces
Was that the
specifically?
Williams? Sorry, are you referencing the Williams Institute survey? I mean, I've
I'm not referencing anything. I'm just going by my memory. I don't have the keyboard is the host. It's not me. I don't have a computer in front of me. This is just factual that I know at this point. Like,
okay. Okay. Yeah. No, I don't want anyone to come at harm. But um when it's impeding on like women's like safety, dignity, privacy, and whatever else, I'd say that we need to find a middle ground and accommodate trans people separately because they're attacked probably on the perceivable of sex or on the presumption that they're effeminate men, right? So I'd say because it's not women attacking these men, then we need to hold men accountable, and that
yeah,
hang on, women shouldn't be the shield for that. We're not, we need protection from men. I wouldn't say I exempt men and trans women out of the category because they still retain, as far as I'm concerned, male pattern behavior. They've still got a proclivity to commit probably I think it's less
not
crime
trans
than,
women.
hang on, I think
Yes.
it's less crime, but
It's
it's
not
still.
factual. It's misinformation, which I will interrupt for. Trans women have the hormone profile, oftentimes, if they're on HRT, of cis women. Therefore, they are not experiencing things in their brains as cis men are. They are experiencing things in their brains as cis women are. So it is comparable to cis women, not cis men.
Wait, can you say that again? Sorry.
Trans women
Uh-huh. Yeah.
who are on HRT have the
Mhm.
hormone profile, which is one of the five sex characteristics
Yeah.
of women, not of men, of females, not of
Okay,
males.
so are you saying that?
Therefore, I'm not finished. You asked me to repeat myself.
Sorry.
Therefore, they would have similar proclivities, as you frame it,
Mhm.
to their cis women counterparts rather than cis men because their brain is functioning off of the hormone profile of women, not of a man.
Okay, cool, sure, but then I'd say like do so even if they don't have the proclivity because it like increases sex drive, I'd still say that GIY males are still, they even though they have like feminine attributes, they still display, this is proven as well, display the same amount of aggression towards women. It's just displaced and not in a sexual manner.
Because
If
they're
you're
men. They're
Yeah.
yeah,
not trans
So
women. They're men.
okay, yeah, sure. So, but then I'd say that you'd have to put a parameter in place to then go into a woman's toilet, and I don't know how we'd mediate this, but then you'd have to like put in the same like a parameter for calling yourself trans, because
Oh,
or if you're not a woman,
parameters.
yeah. So I'd say knock the self ID.
Not
we should
self
put people in
ID?
boxes
Sorry.
because that's what like happens otherwise. Like you either gonna be putting people in boxes, or
Mm-hmm.
you have to like just trust people, And if we're
Yeah,
putting
I'd rather
people
not.
in boxes, we have to have some sort of enforcement mechanism. And a lot of that just sounds very creepy to me.
How so?
Yeah,
What
and
what
go
Because
makes
ahead,
it
the
creepy?
salvage once Stowe is done.
the only way you could
Hi,
actually
by the way.
understand somebody's like actual sex is if you check.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying I don't know how we'd like mediate it. This is what I'm stuck on. I'm not expecting to like lift someone's skirt up. I'm
The relevant
that's a
question,
disgusting
Marion,
like.
is what do trans women take away from you by being in women's spaces? What do they take away from you?
It's not about what. It's the potentiality of what they could take away.
Oh, the
Wait,
potential of what they
hold
could
on,
take
hold
away.
on.
That's wild.
That's not what we value in society. We don't actually value potentials. A lot of your ticket has the potential of being worth $1 billion, but it's not worth anywhere
Mhm.
near that because it's not $1 billion. We really don't value the potential of something. It's also that like whenever we set bans on things, it's because we've seen a history of things going wrong, and like we just don't have this history of we don't have like statistics that show that trans people commit offenses at any higher rates or a risk to anybody. Um,
They're
and
higher
really,
than the cis women counterparts. They are higher. It's like 51% of
no.
like
So I
sex
can go
crimes.
into that
Yeah.
study and why there's problems with that. It's because if you look at the number, I think anybody would agree that if you just simply look at who's in prison, that doesn't necessarily reflect the offense rates of any sort of character or any sort of group, for a huge number of factors from stigmatization within society, the people essentially um, like reporting only certain crimes, and like a huge number of other things. Like a lot of like SA and that kind of stuff just doesn't get reported. Um,
Mhm.
while when it comes to transgender individuals, it seems to be that when somebody does commit one of these crimes, there's a huge push for from like the anti-trans community to make as many people know of what happened.
Okay, so what do you what in an idealistic society what would you have us do?
So if you don't have stats of transgender people, like their offense rates, which we don't, you can look this up if we actually know the actual offense rates of transgender individuals. Until you have that information, it would be making a negligent claim about them being harmful. And we know for a fact that it does put them at harm to stigmatize them and force them into a
Mhm.
restroom they don't want to be in. So it's about preventing known harm versus protecting from unknown harm.
Okay, so you know when we say like it's all mental, it's no man. Do you think that's an unfair generalization?
It's sort of an unfair. I mean, not really in some
It's
regards, but
fair,
the
in my opinion.
yeah, I think
I think it's
it's
fair
it's
as well.
largely fair, and I think it's more of how it's worded that makes it fair. But the we know for a fact that transgender individuals fall into different statistical groups in terms of their life
Yes,
experiences.
and sorry, I need to cut in as somebody who is trans. Trans men fall into that categorization of it's all men until it's no men because oftentimes, well, it is dependent on the trans man. If they're perceived as a woman or as non-binary, they do not fall into that category. If they are perceived and treated as a man, they still fall into that category because them having men around them that are comfortable acting fully unfiltered and oftentimes like grapey. Sorry, alarm again. If these men are these trans men are perceived and treated as men, they're around men that who can um talk freely, so to speak, about how grapey and disgusting they are. And if you do not specifically like push back against that in the groups of men that you are in, then you're part of the problem. Being complicit is still being part of the problem, and trans men can be complicit in these scenarios. So, although statistically, scientifically, when we're studying very specific topics other than this, trans men would be in a different category. But in the sense of it's all men until it's no men, anyone who's perceived and treated as a man, including trans men, are a part of the problem unless they're actively combating the problem.
Okay, so what about if I was perceived as a man? Because I'm, got like a square jaw. I'm like a bit stocky. Like, okay, so what about
Do,
if I was?
do men talk like that around you?
I mean, my friend group's like dominated by man, but no, I don't let them like say like misogynistic shit.
Well, then you are not a part of the problem. That's about it.
So it's only when you're complicit in like misogyny. What about like systemic like oppression that women face? Because I'd say that perceived sex would be like a form, like they would experience a form of misogyny. Um, but then I'd say
Who?
that
Trans women? Sorry, I'm
yeah.
trying.
I'd say
Okay.
it's like pseudo misogyny because it's
Yeah,
like
well, it's not pseudo, it is misogyny, but go on.
so yeah, I'd say like maybe they have like a form of like I'd say pseudo misogyny because misogyny is like referencing
You
like
can
women
say what you want, but the facts don't
exclusively.
change.
Okay, yeah, sure. I'm just saying like my opinion.
Well, there is like
Um,
clearly pseudo, like there is misogyny going on because like if you just look at the pay rates of transgender women, they're paid like 60 cents on the dollar compared to cisgender males. While cisgender women are at like 70 cents on the dollar. There's like a 10 cent pay gap between trans and cis women,
yeah, but do we
and
not
trans
think
people are paid
that's?
even less.
But do you think that's strictly like from the jobs that they're choosing rather
Oh
than?
yes, so they're choosing the trans woman job versus
No, I'm
the
not
It's
saying that.
totally not
no.
because they're trans. It
I'm
has
not
to be the
saying
jobs.
I'm not saying that. No, I'm sneezing. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying like women apparently paid less because we choose like more.
No, so
Um,
if you're doing a shitty study, yeah, but these studies are done, but we're looking at people who have the same qualifications at the same job.
We account for these variables
Yeah,
before we source
these are
these
called
things.
confounding factors, and you need to get
okay,
rid of them
sure.
before you can actually say anything about things. So that's why like I reject the MOJ or the Ministry of Justice stats because there's so many confounding factors to list
Mm.
that it's just impossible to say that it's because these individuals were born as males that they commit like that they are they have a higher percentage of the population that are in there for SA essentially or some sort of sexual based crime.
Yeah, so like as Dark said, could you give like better stats then that like substantiate everything? Because I have stats saying that trans women, even though they're not like correlative to like cis men in like high levels of like sexual assault and stuff, it's still higher than um females, women, female women, right?
You mean cis
So
women?
yeah, female women. I don't like the word cis. So I just
Oh,
say
I'm so
female.
sorry. Did I hurt your feelings?
No, I'm just saying it's a preference, not to say it. So yeah, they're still not on par with like females. So then it wouldn't strictly be hormone profile. You've got to think the nature.
You've
I
got to
think
bring up your sources, and we'll bring up ours. How about that?
And can we also let
I mean
Salvage talk because they've had their hand up for a while? I remember. So
Oh, yeah, sorry. I literally was like, Salvage can talk after Stowe, and then we all just kept going. Sorry. I'm so
There is a few things I wanted to add in from what I've heard. Starting with the medical terminology specifically around trans women. Medically, specifically post-op trans people would be classified as the other sex because of how the medical field works. That is for Cole because I did hear Cole talking about that earlier.
so is that in like medicine or biology? Because I know they like describe the
Medicine,
different.
that's
Yeah,
specifically in
yeah, yeah.
medicine.
Yeah, so that's still not in the biological aspect. That's looking at it in like a holistic
It
kind of view.
depends. Like, if you get all the medical HRT, and surgeries, then like it's specifically for trans women. I know like you go to the gyno, you get your mammograms, all that good stuff, and medically you are treated as women in some ways, but um I think that, and I'm coming from a different perspective as well. A trans non-binary person who has undergone some medical transition at this point. Um, like, I don't necessarily, with the medical transition I'm going through, I'm not necessarily going to be medically treated as a male because of my biology, because of the things I'm not necessarily changing. Like, I'm gonna get top surgery, so I won't need necessarily the same like mammograms and stuff like that. I won't have as much of a risk for breast cancer, but I'm not getting bottom surgery, so I'm still gonna go to the gyno and get the care that I need in that sense, if that makes sense. So I'm still medically treated as a female, even though I'm like transitioning more towards the male side of things. So it really is just very situational. But like at the end of the day, like we understand that we're not intersex is kind of my point. Like intersex involves,
Mm-hmm.
by my understanding now, being born with a combination of male and female sex characteristics. We are inducing a state that causes these mixed characteristics, but we weren't born that way. So we still understand like what we're born as biologically, if that makes sense. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I also wanted to say, I did hear the guest, I don't know how to pronounce your username, say that trans women should have their own bathroom separate from everyone else. That is what it sums up to, correct?
Marion, that was a question for you, I believe.
Sorry, I dropped my vape behind my bed. So yeah, sorry. Can you repeat that? My bad.
So I did hear, or I believe I heard you say earlier, that trans women should have their own restrooms and stuff separate from everyone else, correct?
Yeah, I think that's a middle ground solution. Yeah.
So, I do want to say that this kind of like full
Can't hear you, sir.
equal argument,
You cut out
I
there.
couldn't hear you.
which has
Ask
been
what their pronouns are before you misgender anybody, please and thank you.
Okay, what are your
oh, was
pronouns?
that for me?
Yeah, what was your
Oh,
pronouns? Sorry.
I really just go by anything, but I would like if you would use they them.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Thank
And
you.
so I just want to give you a little bit of a history lesson on uh, both how the argument has been used not only against black people, which
No,
is what
no,
it
no,
is
no,
known
no, no,
for.
no, no. No, we're gonna go into the race of it, and then I'm
No,
sorry. I
no.
don't. Hang on, hang on.
It's also been used against women
Yeah, okay,
during the
yeah. The
women's
women, the
rights
race
movement.
thing. There's no biological differences between me and
I know
I'm Chinese,
this.
right? So
I'm
there's
not
no
going to talk
differences.
about race.
Okay, well, yeah,
I'm
I
not
just
going to
don't
talk
like
about race.
that analogy. I think it's ridiculous to use that.
So, you do know that the whole reason we have segregated bathrooms comes from a form of the separate but equal argument called the separate spheres argument.
Yeah. Okay.
Ba- so basically, if you don't remember what this argument is, basically the women have one sphere which is the domestic sphere, or they stay at the house, do all of the house stuff, while
Mhm.
men have their own sphere which is work and politics and things like that. This is where women's restrooms stem from, is because during the women's rights movement, as women were becoming more ingrained into public affairs, they needed their own restrooms, and men decided they didn't want women in public restrooms, so they made women's restrooms.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that, but I'm saying My argument is if gender's fluid and behaviour's fluid, right? Because the brain's like neuroplastic, we're constantly changing
Who
all this
says
stuff, right?
fluid? Whoever said that specifically? I just
Well,
want to know who
behaviour's
you heard that
fluid.
from.
The brain's neuroplastic. You can go search up. And I'd say expression isn't fixed, right?
Yeah, but your internal sense
I'd
of
say
self is
Expression,
biology.
not.
no.
Hang
Identity
on,
is
can I?
different.
Cole,
Identity,
Cole, you're
Marion, is different.
constantly like speaking over me. Like I can't say anything. I'd say what if it's like behavior's fluid, right? Why would it be based bathrooms off the anatomical differences? You can't deny there's anatomical differences between male and females. What
Yeah,
is wrong with
just don't care
separation?
Identity
about.
is not
How?
like
What
how
is?
you're, Marion. Identity is not expression. Expression may change, identity does not. So I don't understand where you're getting this from.
Okay, cool. Okay, all right. Okay, scrap that. But I'm saying, why don't we base it off anatomy?
Why ought we?
Because we should base it off of identity.
Yeah, why ought
Why?
we? Why ought we to do it
Because
one way versus the
it
other?
exactly it helps people to be affirmed in that specific way. That is one
Yeah.
of the many ways, Marion, that is one of the many ways that it helps people's life qualities and outcomes, and we can fucking prove that.
Okay,
Again,
so
you bring your sources that you never brought
hang on.
earlier.
Does
We'll
your hang
bring
on?
ours.
I've actually feels. I'm saying, does affirmation trump safety of me? So someone could just
Oh,
say,
so
I
you're
have the.
unsafe from
Hang
trans
on. You're not
women?
letting me speak. You're not letting me
No, I
speak,
want to
Cole.
understand you.
I'm saying there can be disingenuous people who claim a trans identity who want to do nefarious things.
Yeah, there's
I'm not
also
current.
robbers who dress up as normal people into a bank and then pull a gun out of their pants and
Exactly.
say, "Give me all the money." I don't give a shit about them. When it comes down to like making rules,
That's a
the
That's
man
not
people are
about
problem, not a
going.
mitigating
trans woman
risk.
problem.
It's
People
not
Marion,
are
that's a
about.
going to
man
be
problem, not a
disingenuous.
Oh
trans
my
woman
god, you're
problem.
just no, you're just talking over me. I'm on about mitigating risk.
Did
I'm
Yeah,
you
on
what
hear what
about
I
risk?
heard?
What
what
risk?
did you hear?
What substantiated risk is there? There is no
It's a risk from
substantiation.
If
men.
nothing exemplifies trans women out of the category of being males. Nothing exemplifies them. You've said
Correct.
hormonal profile, and I've like rebutted that and said like, what about like women with like PCSO? What are the parameters to being
You
trans?
mean
And
PCOS?
going it yeah, sorry, PCOS, yeah. They have like they have a higher surge of testosterone. Does that mean then that they're gonna have a proclivity to commit more like sexual crimes because of the increased libido? No,
Nobody
I'm
said
saying that we
that.
should base
I didn't
bathrooms
say
on.
that.
Huh?
Nobody said that. I didn't say that. That's all I'm adding. Continue.
One of
But
the
I'm saying
leading
what exemplifies them
predictors.
from the category.
Yeah, so we know for a fact that transgender individuals just live a different life and have different feelings than like their cisgender counterparts. Do you agree?
How so?
Yeah, so they are targeted at higher rates for things like SA, assault. They're like I've said with the pay wage, they're obviously paid less for the same job and the same qualifications. And much more. We know that transgender individuals are more likely to be the victims of SA than be the perpetrator, and uh, a lot more. We know that cisgender individuals are a threat to transgender people. We have no evidence to say that transgender individuals are a threat to cisgender individuals.
Okay, so can you debunk the crime statistics?
Yeah, so I can go into them and why
What
they're
crime
the
statistics?
Ministry of
What's
Justice statistics. That's basically
And
the
is
there's
only
that,
like an
Marion,
stats.
what
American.
you're referring to?
Yeah, there's like an American
Okay, good.
version as well, where I think it's like
Yeah,
58.
they all have
Sources,
issues
please.
though. Um,
Okay.
so
Um,
there's
Salvage wants to say something. Sorry, I don't want to suppress them again.
yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm gonna drop back down to the comments. My phone is dying.
Okay.
Okay, thanks for coming up.
Yeah. So we're going to um yeah, so one of the biggest things that the MOJ actually explicitly says is that the data that they provide is like management information, and it's low quality data and relies on self reporting and local case boards. They should not be used to made. They explicitly said that inferences should not be made about individuals from group level data. So like literally, the
Like a
MOJ is saying that don't fucking use this data to draw conclusions because it's low quality data.
Mhm. Okay, sure, but then I'd say that the same for the Williams Institute that shows that trans women are assaulted. That's not like that's a survey as well. If that's what you're referencing, that's a survey, and that classes like verbal
Surveys of
assault.
different groups of people.
Yeah,
I'd
You're
say
you're
that.
it's
comparing surveys of criminals or people who are at least convicted of things to the general population of people, which is vastly different.
Oh, sorry, it's still a survey. That's. I'm not saying like the
How
demographic. I'm
so?
saying it's
How are
based on
those groups of people different?
so. Let me just break this down too into like, have you ever heard of the prison pipeline?
the prison pipeline.
Yeah, so
No.
it's this idea that prisons high like risk the or they'll house the most high risk individuals because of how
Oh.
our society polices and that kind of stuff. So when an area has a high crime rate, what we do is we police it more. So the more the people who are in that area who have high crime rates, which perpetrate to them actually like if you live in an area with high crime, it's usually because of things such as people not having a parent in the household and that kind of stuff. And that is like the leading factor of people who do commit crimes generally. There's like a huge amount of statistics that's looked into this, um, and that it's like the most marginalized groups that end up getting filtered into the system. And once you're already into a system, into basically the prison pipeline, it's really hard to get out of it. It's the most high risk individuals that go into prison, and it's our society is structured in a way that causes this to happen. Um, the it's like the actual incarceration is partially due to the faults of hyper marginalization. That's why for the longest
Oh.
time people of color have faced this issue of being overrepresented in prison populations when they really shouldn't. It's because we police the areas that they tend to live in more, and it's something that needs to be addressed. And
Well,
it's
is the
addressed.
policing? Sorry, I'm not like getting into the racing. I don't really believe in like race as a concept. To be fair, I think it's like a weird thing. But I'm saying, would the areas not be policed more due to the crime? Would that not be like contingent?
So yeah, so when an area has a high crime rate, it's going to be policed more, meaning that any crimes that do
Which
yes,
perpetuates it. Sorry.
so any crimes that are committed in the area are caught more often than areas that don't have a high policing rate.
Yeah, I get that, but what I'm saying is like it's contingent on the crime rate being present in the first place for them to then populate the area. No.
Yeah, and what are the people who live in areas with high police rates tend to be
At
marginalized?
least in America.
It's
Yeah, I
always
don't know about
marginalized groups.
America. I don't know
Um,
about America. I'm in a very like mixed neighborhood over here.
I would reject that it matters on where you are in the world. It's going to be marginalized groups.
Fair.
No, I wouldn't say so. I'd say I've been like okay, so I've lived in Doncaster. That's a predominantly white place.
Hmm.
I'd say that the crime was like rife there compared to like where I am now, which is like like a mixed neighborhood. I'd just say it's wherever crime is, it's going to be policed more. I wouldn't say it's contingent on them being marginalized.
Oh,
I'd say it's contingent on the crime that was present for them to then establish that they need more police there.
um, so like there's the big problem is that there's a gap between the data that we like of what this data is showing versus what we know for a fact that like self-reporting data inside of prisons, or even just
Mhm.
if you look at the official numbers from prisons, there's a gap between crime rates and marginalized communities, marginalized communities are overrepresented in them, um, and
Like
that's
over When you say represented, what do you mean?
So that would mean like people of color are in jail more often. That they show a higher. So like if people of color make 50% of the population up, they make up more than
Mhm.
50% of the prison population. When
Okay,
that
so like, are they not like? I don't want to. I really don't like the racing, but are they not committing more crime to them being in prison?
No, not necessarily.
They're not so.
It's so if you look at like data between people of color and white Americans, such as like drug use, it's they use at about the same rates, but people of color are incarcerated for these offenses at significantly higher rates.
Well, over here we can't like actually get done for drug use. You can get done for like conspiracy,
Well, yeah,
which is
but
like the
like
case.
this is just an
But I'm
example.
saying you. Yeah, but I'm saying you can't get done for drug use. You'd have to have something. Um, you'd have to do something. To actually get arrested. So say like I'm smoking a spliff. I'm not gonna get arrested for it. Thank God. But and then I wouldn't say that drug use then correlates to like high like the proclivity to commit more crimes. To be fair, I'd say it depends on the drug. Shrug. I mean, like what you're taking.
But single parent households where one of the parents has been incarcerated due to drug use, it is indicative of higher crime rates for those children.
I
That's
mean,
definitely something we can show.
I know this is like super anecdotal, but like I don't speak to either of my parents. They're both like H addicts. And then I'd say that I'm like a super like. Do you mean the fallout from the parents doing that for then the kid to like follow?
No,
It's
well, a single parent household is shown to have worse rates of like self harm and drug use, dependent like on
it's the
certain
number one
things. But like
predictor
it's
of
yeah,
future
it
crime.
is the number exactly a future crime. There we go, future crime in specific,
It
or I guess in general in this scenario.
it doesn't
Um,
mean that people
it's
from these houses like that from these types of environments can't thrive and live great lives, and many do.
Mhm.
It's just indicative of like the expected outcome is unfortunately much worse.
And
And
my
it's
Yeah,
point
I didn't know
is,
that.
sorry, before you speak again. My point is that you are more likely to find single parent households in neighborhoods that are over policed. Therefore, the crime, even if it's at the same or lower rate, is discovered more often. Therefore, more people are incarcerated. Therefore, there are more single parent households. Therefore, those children have higher crime rates. Therefore, they're more likely to be incarcerated. Maybe they've had kids at that point, so on and so forth. It's an endless cycle that you just cannot get out of, at
See,
least in
I'm
America.
talking about like the fallout because I must be like, pretty proud to say I must be an outlier, right? But I'm saying like, how does that? So a single parent household, how does that like impact the kid to then grow up and then have like probably a shittier outcome?
We have to look at the studies as to how, but the fact that it is the case is the conclusions of these studies. Go ahead. So I need to take a minute.
That's crazy.
yeah. So it's I don't know the exact breakdown, but generally it means that people who live in with a single like parent, they tend to live
Mhm.
in it's I think it's due to a number of factors where you get like it's when I said it was a pipeline, I was misspeaking. It's called the funnel usually. It's called like the funneling of into prisons and stuff. Um, and it's kind of this problem where once you kind of get into an area of with like a higher population or percentage of the population being incarcerated, it leads to just more people in the area having like single households and that kind of stuff. And that leads to and that's just like a predictor that it might be that like there's just a number of confounding factors here. It doesn't mean that necessarily that like having a single house or a single parent household raising kids is actually like problematic. It is though something that is tends to statistically reflect poor outcomes is the best way to put it. It's a
That's crazy.
correlation, not a causation, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So it doesn't directly cause it. It's just kind of linked.
Yeah,
Like
I
it can
mean,
be linked.
there is probably some causation power in there. I just haven't looked into the causation side of things too far into it. Um,
That's so sad. Oh my god.
yeah, a lot of this is really really sad. It's like like a lot of it is just really unfair. It's just not just to people who, the general population. It's the more it tends to be, the more money you have, the more stable of a household that you have, that the better you do in life, and the less likely you are to be prosecuted for a crime, even if you did the exact same crime as somebody else. And let alone, like, even you might not even serve time at all. And if you do, it's much more likely that you're going to serve less time.
What? Did she just run? What? I was
Oof.
gonna ask her because she said that's crazy. After I said I need a minute, is that what she was saying that to? I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll never know, but that's rough.
There's some more interesting things about the or about when it comes down to the year statistics, because some research has shown that poverty-driven crimes, trans Americans are 3 times more likely to live in poverty, which is awful. Um, and that's gonna be
Absolutely brutal.
and without like having like proper social safety nets, when people are in poverty, they are forced to do things such as survival crimes, such as stealing
Mhm.
and sex work and that kind of stuff.
Exactly, like stealing food, stuff like that. Like, especially if they have kids, like, how do you expect them to help support their family when they're in those situations?
I just don't understand how people can look at the clear data that trans people are like 4 times more likely to be victims of SA and say, maybe we don't have to worry about this at all. This is something
That's
that's not a
always been
problem. It's
wild
just
to me.
like, it's clearly a problem. Like, it's not just a trans problem. It's a human problem. People across the board suffer
Exactly.
from these issues. Um,
Even like cis people that other people think are trans, even though they're cis. Like, people, period, deal with these kinds of issues when we stigmatize these things and have this harm against these communities.
well, even if like we just took the whole trans issue out of it, it's like there's this like it's an interesting thing to look into about like why our prisons are the way that they are. There's like a huge number of factors that causes this, but yeah, the
I've
prison
looked into it
systems,
some before.
it's just messed up. It's really sad, and how our like society doesn't like, we're driven by like what we like good feeling headlines of like, oh, we're policing the areas with high crime, not like actually making a difference in like anything like that. It's cheap to police areas. It's more expensive to actually solve the underlying problems.
Mm. Um, it
And
comes down to the some of the factors, not obviously all of them, but some of them that I looked into are like redlining. So obviously we've got white communities and black communities separated to this day. Therefore, finding the areas they want to police is a lot easier for them, unfortunately. Um, and also these like gentrification, like areas that were once um, profitable in some way, shape, or form, whether it be like fields or whatever that is for black folks, is now just being invaded, like in certain areas, by mainly white folks, and they're being pushed out of those areas into lower income areas, if that makes sense as well, where they experience things like food deserts and the like, which take more of their money to support their family as well. So again, food deserts being another one of those factors. Like, it is just so wild how much goes into this. This all obviously started with like um enslavement of black folks in America, and like colonizers bringing them over and enslaving people. And then when they were quote unquote freed, which took a while to get across the nation, a couple of years, they were then still obviously oppressed and segregated in other ways. And then we have like through like Jim Crow laws, and then we have like the relief from that. And the relief from segregation legally, except through the prison system, mind you, because being enslaved through the prison system has always been legal. Therefore, they're inclined to just put more black people into prisons and just enslave the same group of people in a different way. You know, like there are so many different factors that play into all of this. It's just absolutely wild. I mean, and then again, I know the guest wasn't from America, but in America, these are the kinds of nuances and confounding factors, if you will, that we run into. So, yeah.
Hello, Denard. Denard? Is that correct?
Denard.
Denard. Could I get your age and pronouns, please?
25 him.
Do you disagree that I should support affirmative care and transgender individuals?
Yeah, I do disagree.
Why would you disagree?
Well, I don't think it should be like, the way I see it is a man is a man, a woman's a woman, you know what I mean? And like feeding into someone's delusions is a bit like, ugh, you can't be feeding into that.
So it's not a delusion. No major medical organization recognizes it as a delusion. In fact, the consensus among major medical organizations for the last couple of decades is moving away from classifying it as a delusion, as their understanding of transgender individuals has become better. And
It's still a delusion.
What is a delusion?
Well, if I think I'm black, but I'm not, that's delusion, right?
Yeah, so transgender individuals don't think that they're sex that they're not. A transgender male does not think that they are a female. Or that's not, if they describe it that way, I would say that that's not an accurate way to describe the
Well, then how can a male be a woman?
How can a male be a woman? Because a woman's a social construct.
No, it's not.
It's also, it is. Without society, does male and female, or sorry, with male and female are biological.
Man and
woman are
yeah.
Yeah, so male can't be a female if they're human, and a female can't be a male if they're human.
Right. Well, because the term woman, right? The term we use for it, I'll give you that. The term is a social construct because we don't call female dogs women. We call them in the UK, we use bitches not as like a slur or anything. We call female dogs bitches, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's another word for a male dog. I'm not too sure. I think it's like a studder or something like that. I'm not too sure about that. Right. We use the term woman to identify, female humans the same way we use bitches to identify female dogs. You know what I'm saying? We use woman to identify a female human.
Well, yeah, so
we don't use it as a construct. We use it to identify a female human. Say someone's writing a book, we use man to identify female human. No, male human, and we use woman to identify as female human. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but don't you agree that society changes definitions of things over time to better fit how we should be using them or how our society de facto uses them?
What was that again?
Do societies change the definitions and usages of words to reflect changing like moral views and like de facto usages of words?
Well, what society wants isn't necessarily the truth, is it?
Well, I would claim that I have like moral reasons to actually classify transgender individuals as what they claim as gender-wise.
Well, no, because what society wants isn't the truth. Okay, a society could want something completely ludicrous to say. Does that mean it's no? It doesn't. It doesn't mean it's the truth, is it? What we use woman for, the word woman for, is to identify female human. That's never going to change. We use woman to identify female humans. The same way we use boy to identify like a non-adult male. Same way we use girl to identify like a non-adult female. These terms have meanings behind them. We can't just go and change meanings behind them to fit what society wants. That's not how it works. Transgenders, yeah. Now, personally, me,
Transgender people, we are people first
yeah,
and
obviously we're
foremost.
people. But where I'm from, we don't use the same talk you do. Listen. It's taking a lot of energy right now to hold back from using swear words like unintentionally. That's where I'm from.
You
It's
can
taking a lot of
swear as
energy to hold
long
it
as
back.
they're not slurs.
So I can swear, but it's not slurs.
As long as it's not
Yeah,
slurs,
just
yeah.
be.
No, that's sweet then. That's sweet then. But the way I see it is, yeah. Now I wouldn't say it's a fucking mental illness. I wouldn't say it's that. I would not classify it as a mental illness because I've said it before. These people do have something in their brain that aligns with more feminine things than masculine things, right? But just because someone's feminine and they align more with feminine views and stuff like that and feminine behaviors doesn't mean they're a woman because
Correct.
gay men for example, they sometimes align with more feminine stuff. Does that mean they're a woman? No.
No, because it's based off
Correct.
identity. So our internal sense of self is something that is like it's innate to us. It's something that we can't like remove from ourselves. So like I can't remove you from your body. Well, I guess I could if I removed your brain from your body, but like to remove you from your brain is something that's like not possible because it's basically a result of the how your neurons are laid out inside of your brain, which is like it's kind of a crazy thing to think of, but what it means is that like who somebody is and what they identify as is something that is reflective of their physical nature, and so
Yeah.
it's not just somebody like feeling this way. It is something that they are the way that they are. They can't like people who are trans. They don't have a choice over being trans. They are just trans. They didn't have a choice of it. They didn't choose to be a marginalized community. They were just
Yeah.
marginalized.
Yeah. See, I'll give you
Denard,
that.
sorry. Denard, did you choose to be a man?
Did I choose to be a man?
Correct.
See, here's the thing with that logic. Now you're gonna say, "Oh, you didn't choose to be a man. They didn't choose to be transgender, right?" But being a man for like my sex, yeah, right. That's just always been default settings, right? Now, if there was an incongruence in my brain that says that goes in my brain that I'm a woman, I still wouldn't be a woman. I just think I am.
Well,
Listen, if you were born with or let's give this more realistic example. Over 60% of males in their lifetime will develop breast tissue. This is called gynecomastia. Would if you developed breasts, would that be uncomfortable for you as a man?
If I had gyno,
gynecomastia. That's what it's called. Yeah, like
yeah,
let's
for
say
short,
you
for
just
short we call gyno.
okay. If you
Gyno
just
refers to a gynecologist, not a gynecomastia. So
they're both
Well,
like the same
in the UK
prefix.
we call it gyno.
That might just be
whatever.
yeah.
You know what we're saying. Yes, correct.
Yeah, I know what
Would
you're saying,
that
but
make you uncomfortable?
well, even if I did develop gyno, I'd still be a man.
Correct. You're so
Yeah,
correct in that. We totally agree. So people who are born female, who are men just like you, who didn't get to choose to be men,
people who are born
who
female.
let me finish, who develop breasts in their puberty, they have the same sort of dysphoria. You could call it gender dysphoria because it is the same for males who develop gynecomastia as it is for men who are female and develop breasts in their puberty. It is the same exact surgery. It is the same exact gender dysphoria. So it seems like we're on the same page almost to the end here. Like we're almost there. You're so
I'm
close. And trans people who get top surgery, who get their breast removed, trans men, who decide to go through that gender affirming care, and trans non-binary people that decide to go through that gender affirming care, do not deny that they are female. Those people still know that they're female. So I don't see where
yeah, but
where are we missing each other here
at
specifically?
the start, did you say females that are born men? Is that what you said?
Well, not men but boys.
And
Well, no,
it's
because
unsure if it's born, but they develop and to have the internal sense of being a man. A man.
Yeah, but
or a
you
boy
can't
than a
skip
man.
past that at the
Yes.
start. You can't just skip past that. You can't just say something, make a claim, and then skip past it. Now, let's talk about what a man actually is, right? A man. So I'm going to use the term man as in like males for this one. So a man is not someone who thinks they're a man. A man is someone who is a male.
Well, I would reject the
More specifically, if you want to
definition.
get
You're
into
just
it,
wrong.
Yes,
a
I would
man
just.
is an adult human male.
I would just
Science
reject
disagrees.
that's a objective definition, because objective or definitions in this case of something like a social construct are going to be descriptive, not prescriptive. And further, I would say that there are very good moral reasons to allow individuals who are trans into these categories of man and woman.
No, because once again, a man is not a social construct. A man is a term we use to identify
Within
human
society,
males.
Socially.
within society, socially, yeah, that's the problem. Is
It
that
means
without
that socially now, but in society where we didn't even know, like, we didn't even have terms male and female. Back in literal Mesopotamia, where we have the first written documents of human existence, trans people existed, even though we didn't even have the terms male and female, and they're documented to have existed. So, like, I don't understand how you don't understand that this is a social construct. That social construct didn't exist then in the way that it does now across the world, different depending on your location.
See,
So I don't
here's the thing with that though. You're saying like trans people always existing.
yes.
That equates to we should normalize it, you know. But
Well,
here's the thing with
it
that.
is normal.
correct.
It
They're
is
always
normal.
going to. Well, no, they have always going to exist. No, they have always existed, and they will continue to always exist because once
Yep.
again, they can't help the incongruence in their brain. But as a
Mhm.
society, we evolve, and we should realise, yeah, what a man is and what a woman is, and what a man is. Now, at the end of the day, it's always going to be this way. A man is a male, a woman's a female. You can't change that because it is the social norm, and it is the default setting for it.
Listen here, Denard. That's not what we're arguing. The prompt says, I support transgender people in affirmative care. Tell me why I shouldn't. Now, let me explain a little bit further. It doesn't matter what you define that as. The science, I mean, you're referring to agreeing with the science and implying that you agree with the science of like John Money, where we should try to make people like conversion therapy essentially. You're saying that it should be we should be aligning the mind with the body and not aligning the body with the mind. Well, guess what? That didn't work for decades. That didn't work, and therefore science evolved into adapting the body into the mind, and that is what works. And so those are the resources that we use in those studies. I'm almost done. Those are the resources that we use in the studies that we use that are accurate, up to date, based off of that previous known data. So the safety of trans people is like dependent oftentimes on the affirmative care that we get or that we don't. And you can't disprove that. Disprove that. Try to. Go ahead.
Well, I'm not going to disprove that, you know, it's for their safety and all that. But what was I going to say again? Oh, yeah. Well, what I'm going to say is that what you think you are doesn't equate to what you are because there is some people out there who wholeheartedly believe they are dogs. You do realise that in their brain they
That's
believe
not
they're
trans
dogs.
people. That's
Oh
not
no,
trans
but
people. We
but
don't
they still
identify
think they're
outside
dogs in
of the
their
human
brain.
qualia.
So you're saying that they can't be dogs if they think they're dogs, wholeheartedly believe they're dogs.
Trans people are not claiming that.
Oh no, I'm not saying trans
Delusions
people are
and
claiming that.
knowing what gender you are two very, very drastically different things.
No, not really. I'm not saying trans people are doing that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying there are people out there in their heads who wholeheartedly believe they're dogs and they will do anything in their power to
Why
be
are
a
you
dog
bringing that up?
and
It's
act like a
literally a
dog.
So
mental illness that you're bringing up and trying
Oh,
to
wait,
so,
hold
oh,
on,
be
so
hold on,
that's
hold
a
on,
mental
hold on.
It's
illness. But
ableist.
thinking
Hold,
It's
you're a
hold.
man when
ableist
you're a
as
woman's
fuck.
not.
We don't need to bring up things that are ableist. We don't need to do that.
So
How
We
is
can
that
just stay on
ableist? What?
topic.
Cole, here's the
Let's let the
problem.
host speak.
Yeah, let me just bring this around. What we should look at is not what they think or what we you know. It's not de facto what they are. What we really should be looking at are what happens when we do X, Y, or Z with these individuals and what leads to the best outcome for everybody. Because I'm sorry, but if I dehumanize an individual and that's fine by society, I'm unfortunately still dehumanizing an individual and causing harm. I don't care what the society thinks if it causes harm. I don't care how woman's been defined for decades. It could be, a god emperor of the universe says that, woman is this way or man is this way, and I wouldn't care, because if it causes harm, I think we should really just get rid of that definition then. And that's
See,
what
but that's the thing.
happens
You
with
can't get rid
transgender
of definitions if
individuals.
it causes harm.
Definitions are descriptive, not prescriptive. So actually, as a society, we could choose to change that fucking definition
Yeah, but it wouldn't make sense
based
to
on how
change
we
it.
use the word.
Yeah,
It
but it
does
wouldn't
make
make sense
sense
to
to
change
change
it.
it.
No, it
No, it
wouldn't.
does actually. To
You
include
can't
trans
change. You
folks, it
can't change a
actually would.
term. You
It
can't change
actually
a
would.
definition to
Well,
pander to people.
societies have and do and
Yeah,
can.
they do, but
So
like you're on about changing a definition to pander to people.
Do you know why?
it's not pandering to anybody, it's
It is
including
pandering.
people.
It's
It's
pandering.
inclusion.
So
Yeah,
Inclusion is
inclusion
pandering to
equals
you.
pandering.
do you think that
You
a
can't
moral
include men in what a woman is.
Sorry,
What?
on mute.
Yeah, so do you think that in order to change the definition, we need a reason?
Yeah, you like in order to change it, you need like a good definition that makes sense. This like changing it to this in this in this scenario doesn't make any sense because they're not women, they're
I
men,
would
they're males.
I'm fine with keeping, like, if you're gonna say that women's are adult human females and then adding a secondary definition onto it, I think that's fine. I think that's the way that it should be, because then people can say, oh, it's, we still have, like, culturally speaking, it is still recognized that an adult human female generally is a woman. So, like, definitions are kind of like these good enough things. We use them to classify objects. All of our classifications that we use within society are they kind of get vague with the more you look at them. Like, what we call a species is just completely fucking vague to a lot of extent. It's like, well, it's this group of animals that can, like, technically the definition is that they can't interbreed with another species, otherwise they're members of the same species. Well, they can't interbreed with another species and then those offsprings be fertile, both male and female, both ways around.
Well, some can, like coyotes and wolves can do that.
Yeah,
And they're
and
different species.
yeah, so like the idea of different species is kind of arbitrary at that point. In the same way that a lot of our words are kind of arbitrary. So like it's fine to have these not like absolute, perfect definitions about things. Especially if we're doing it for reasons that make sense, like preventing harm within society.
Yeah, but preventing harm. I don't think it's a good reason to pander to people and change the definition because, like, the way you're changing it makes no sense.
Preventing harm isn't worth it to you?
Yeah,
You don't
it's
think
not.
preventing
It's
harm is
not.
good?
It's not. You can keep sitting there laughing. I don't give a fuck. Like,
Well, like,
you're pandering to
that's
people.
what we do a lot of the times. We change things to prevent harm. We make laws to prevent harm. We require people to wear seatbelts because seatbelts save lives. We require
You
people.
can't compare seatbelts to transgender people. It's not a seatbelt isn't a fucking car. You put a seatbelt around yourself. It's not equivalent to a trans person, is it?
Well, it is in the sense that if we allow transgender individuals to identify as they wish, it reduces stigma, and this reduction in stigma is just shown to lead to better outcomes for individuals.
Oh
It
yeah,
does
yeah.
reduce
They
harm,
can identify as they wish, right? They
but
can
it doesn't harm
identify as whatever
anybody
they want.
else. It doesn't harm
Yeah,
anybody
yeah,
else, and
yeah.
it
Exactly. They can
reduces
do
their
that,
harm.
but
So, like, literally,
yeah,
it is actually going to cause harm if we don't allow these individuals to identify as they wish. And I
right. But
see
here's my
no,
deal with it.
like, if you
They
don't care
can be
about
whatever they
harm,
want.
I just don't
Can you
care if you
stop
get beat up.
interrupting and over speaking? I'm sorry. It's just getting too much for my brain. Let one person at a time. I'm sorry.
Right, I'll let you speak. Go on, bro.
Yeah, so like, if you don't care about reducing harm, then I just don't see a reason why I should care if somebody wants to go beat you up. Like, I'll
Well,
just say sure, because you don't care about harm reduction, so why should I?
not a lot of people can beat me up.
Okay, well, we'll just strap you to a chair. and then we'll
Or you
beat
can
you
strap
up.
me to a chair, and I'll still be an absolute lethal unit of a man.
Yeah, but you're still getting harmed.
Yeah, but here's the thing with that though, right? Here's my deal with that. They can identify whatever they want. No one's saying they can't. I mean, people are saying that, but I don't think they shouldn't be able to, right?
Well, but
But
I assume
my
that you don't want to be strapped down to a chair and beat up, correct?
well, once again, that's not equivalent to what I'm about to say.
Yes
Wait,
or no,
who's
bro?
put?
Yes or
Oh, sure, tough
no?
I
man.
fucking can't.
I'm a very tough man.
This is insane. Like,
This is seriously wild.
It's not because
let's
they can
let's,
be
let's not
whatever they
even do
want
beating up. Let's start just chopping off limbs of you. Like, why is it like wrong for somebody to take your arm and chop it off?
because I'm an innocent human being.
Yeah, and they're causing harm for
So
no
are trans
reason.
people.
Likewise,
Well, but no, but
causing.
here's the thing with that. You're not hearing me out. They can be whatever they want, but I don't see an issue with someone like who doesn't agree with that stuff not calling you your preferred pronouns. You get what I mean?
I mean, the problem is that it just causes harm.
Harmful.
Yeah,
Doesn't cause harm.
yeah. So the number
You
one
disagree with science.
yeah. So it is just known that social acceptance of transgender individual leads to better outcomes for them. This is
Yeah,
just
but
well
if,
understood.
if Cole was to call me a woman right now and start referring to me as she, I wouldn't go on a manic spiral because of it, would I?
Well, you also
Like,
have
I
been
wouldn't.
Neither would
marginalized your
trans
entire. Well,
people.
yeah. Wait, hold on. You also have been marginalized about it your entire life.
Well, I have been marginalised my entire life. I'm a ethnic minority.
Yeah. So, but you haven't been marginalized over being called a woman your entire life.
Well, no, but the point of it is, if you started calling me something like, if you started referring to me as it or they, them, or ze, zer, I wouldn't care. It's up to the person at the end of the day, and if someone's gonna get like in a manic daze over it because someone's not calling you your preferred pronoun, I think that's just quite pathetic. I think it's just quite weak spirited.
So, and a lot of these, when people have like mental issues, a lot of the number one predictors, and like there is actually a cause to have been shown, that family support and that kind of stuff leads to, like people who have good family support and in childhoods, their rates of depression are almost identical to their peers, when they're just supported. So like it's clear to us that it's not like some sort of mental issue. It's actually society causing problems in these people, not people being a problem to society.
The question is, what are you gonna do to stop people who don't agree with it from not using the preferred pronouns?
It's more of just a changing society thing. We should really change
I mean,
society.
that's not how it's gonna work because society is always gonna be this way.
Well, yeah, but
All
like,
we can
You're gonna
do
have
is
religious people who don't agree with it.
Leonard. All we can do to quote unquote stop you is hold you accountable to the rules of the social media sites or physical third spaces that you're in, interacting with people at the grocery store, at your church, whatever the fuck you do. All we can do is try to correct you. You can say whatever the fuck you want. It
Well,
just
there you
says
go
more
then. So
about
the
you
issue's
than it
never gonna
does
get
about.
fixed.
Let me finish. So that it says more about you than it does about us. Listen, Dunnard, because you are choosing to be harmful when you know it's harmful and you've been told you know better, and you're still doing it anyways. And that says a lot about you. Go ahead.
It says a lot about me. Yeah, but listen. You're always going to have religious people who don't agree with that stuff. You're going to have all these subsex people that don't agree with it. Like, for example, in the let me think of a culture in the UK. For example, the black culture, very very high Christian rates. They're never going to agree with that stuff, or some might, but most of them are never ever going to agree with it. Never. Same in the
Why are you
US. They never
speaking for
will.
groups that you don't know about?
Well, you can look at them. I'm
That's
friends with
that's
from them groups.
pretty. You have the sources then?
I know people from those groups, and you can take a look at society, and you can
Okay,
see what's what in
anecdotes
society.
are not relevant.
Anecdotes
Stats
are
are.
relevant.
No, I'm sorry. Go
So,
ahead.
so you think that a majority Christian group is going to approve of that stuff, like the LGBTQ? Is that what you're
I
saying?
don't care about what Christians think. What if,
Well,
if
there,
they
there you
if,
go
if,
then. So
wait
you
wait
don't care what Christians think.
hold on. The reason why I don't care about what Christians think is if it causes harm, it's wrong. Like
No, it
that's
doesn't cause harm. It causes harm to weak individuals who are just crybabies. Yeah.
so like if somebody it really It depends on like a lot of like intention and stuff. Like if you're calling a group of people names and like it becomes slurs, that's an issue. It's you're like
Oh yeah, slurs is
purposely
different.
like
Slurs is
disparaging
just
them.
wrong. Yeah, slurs is wrong. I'll agree with that. But here's my deal, right? If I'm walking down the road, yeah, and I see someone who is quite obviously a man, so a male, in a dress and a wig, I bump into that person. By default, my brain's gonna be like, oh, male. So I'll say, oh, my bad for that, cuz. My bad for that, bro. You say that to men in the UK.
Yeah.
That is not me being harmful in any way. That's just my brain, on default settings. If I see a male, I'm going to use
You
male
know
pronouns.
what, Dennard, I'll give you that. Dennard, I'll give you that. What if that woman then says to you, "Oh, I would rather like whatever terms you use for women, whether it's ma'am, which is often what it ma'am or miss is often what it is here in the US. I don't know what words you use in the UK, but whatever that would translate to, not literally, but metaphorically, whatever you would call a woman, and she says, "This is what I like to, this is what like I'm a woman, this is what I like to be referred to as." How would you respond in that scenario? Because
Well,
that determines a lot.
personally, me myself, I don't agree with that stuff. But in my city, if you bump into someone once, chances are, unless you know that person personally, you're not going to see him again. So I just
Well,
say,
I'm
listen.
saying in that moment, yeah,
In that
they
moment,
say
well,
that.
I'm just gonna walk away. So I bumped into him, so I haven't got a call on that. So I'm never gonna speak to him again. I'm never gonna see him again. I'll just walk away.
Yeah,
I'd say, listen,
well,
I ain't calling you that. It's not in my beliefs. I'm walking away.
What happens if it's
they
somebody you
Oh,
like at
I
your
ain't
work?
calling you that. Straight in my beliefs and walking away. I'm sorry. I need to process that. And I'm sorry for interrupting again. So I just wow. With the accent in my APD, it's taking me an extra second to process. But Jesus Christ. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. What happens if there's somebody like you had to see with like at work every day? Would you just be respectful
At
to
work
them?
every day.
Yeah. Like
Yeah, I'd be respectful, but I'd just say like, listen, that's not in my personal beliefs. You've got to respect that. If I call you a man, like you've just got to accept it.
well,
That's disrespectful.
No, it's
yeah.
not. I'm being polite. I say, listen,
Wild
listen,
concept. Misgendering is disrespectful. If
and
I
it's
were to
not
call you a
misgendering, is
woman
Would
all
it?
the
it
time,
be
it would be
disrespectful?
disrespectful.
Hold on. Would it be disrespectful for people who have like a fundamentalist Islam belief to call everybody infidels? Yeah, it's gonna be
Uh,
disrespectful. It's
mm,
fucking disrespectful to call people
the
infidels.
you can't compare Islamic people to me, not aligning
Well,
myself with
it's part of their
transgenderism.
belief system.
Well, yeah, it's part of their belief. So,
Transgender is Dennard, I need you to hear this. Transgenderism is not a thing. Ism implies a historical societal structure of power, and that's not how being transgender actually is in society. So please
she's
don't use
always got
that
to
term
point out
again.
the term stuff, isn't she? She can't just move on from terms. She's got to always like be a smart ass about something. I swear to God.
Who is there a woman up here? Is it you? Are you referring to
Yeah, it's me.
yourself in
I'm
the
a
third
woman.
person? It's you. Okay. She, her.
Yeah,
Got it. We
yeah. You can call me
changed
that.
up. Maybe there's some gender fluidity going on here.
Yeah,
She,
there
her.
is. I'm
Got
very
it.
fluid. Very fluid in the ring. The ring. Anyways,
Does it mean
as
like
I
you
was
piss
saying, yeah, you
yourself in the
can't.
ring? What?
I piss myself in the ring. If we're on about like a full bladder, like I've just got to whip down my shorts then and start having a piss, and you know what I mean, in the ring. It just has to be done. If I need a piss, I've got a piss. I just pull down my pants, psst, quickly get done
What
back to
is
fighting.
wrong with you?
What's wrong with me? Listen, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
Non-consensual bodily fluid?
Bodily fluid?
I wouldn't
Oh
even
yeah.
call that play. I was gonna
Well,
say play,
I
but
was going
that's
to
not
take down my
even
pants in
kink
the
if
middle of
it's
the ring and start pissing.
non-consensual.
That was the host's question, and yes, it is. If I needed a piss, I would take a piss. Whether that's in public, in a bush, I would do it. Okay, I'm a pikey. I will do what I want. In case you're not a pikey, is I'm a Romany. So yeah, Roma.
Wild.
Anyways, as I was saying, you can't compare Islamists. Personally, I don't even agree with that. Calling people like infidels and all that shit. If like freedom of speech, they want to call me an infidel, they can call me that. I just don't give a fuck. I'm not gonna get offended over it. Secondly, that's not comparable to me not, wanting to involve myself in, oh yes, you, she, her, oh my god, I'm gonna call you dad. No, I'm not gonna do that shit. I don't pander to no one. So if you want to be called a she, her, sure, people will call you that. I won't call you that. And if you can't accept that one man in a whole fucking city won't call you that, you're a crybaby. You know what I mean?
Well, it's there's a difference between being respectful and having like the freedom to say what you want to. Like you can have the freedom to say what you want to and be disrespectful. These are two separate ideas. I can have the ability to drive a car, but that doesn't mean that I'm driving it on the correct side of the street always. If I'm driving on the wrong side of the street, I'm still driving a car, but I'm just not driving it on the right side of the street.
Okay, so now we're comparing using pronouns to fucking road laws. You've got some crazy comparison.
No, I agree that like misgendering somebody is like not anywhere near as bad as driving on the wrong side of the road.
Road laws. It's nothing like road laws.
Well, I just don't think you're getting the analogy. So that's why I'm bringing
No,
these up.
because there's nothing to get. You're comparing driving a car on one side of the
His
road.
brain can't comprehend the symmetries and
yeah, because there's no symmetry
every
there.
analogy breaks down, but the symmetries are there.
No, they're not there. But listen,
I mean, you drive on the wrong side of the street every. No, I'm kidding. This is an American. No, it's
fucking right. Listen, I'm not sure. Right, in America, I can't say it on the live. Pretty sure, so I'm pretty sure TikTok picks it up. Do you know what the slur for Romany people is?
No.
Yes, I do.
What? Yeah, can you spell it out like letter wise? So we know we're on the same page.
G.
Yeah, it starts with a G, right?
Oh,
no,
yeah.
I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people. Now, I think there might be some Romany in the US, but in the UK, we're a bit different than in the US, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our culture in the UK, and you might not like the culture, what I'm about to tell you, right? Let's say in this culture, right? Well, in my culture, if one of our people here, if their child turns out to be, let's say, gay, right? They'll get beat, kicked out, and disowned. That's just how it is in the culture.
Well, that's wrong.
And then they'll probably
it can be
off
wrong, but it's still
themselves.
their culture, and you've got to like live with it. It's their culture. The same way as like
I don't respect cultures or religions that
you haven't got
promote
to respect my culture.
hurting people. I don't support harming people, whether it's due to religion or culture. I don't support it.
I'm not asking you to
call me
respect my
crazy.
culture. I'm not asking you to respect my culture. You haven't got to. It doesn't affect me if you respect it or not. You're in fucking America, mate.
You just have beliefs that are just based on, I guess, quote unquote culture and not logic at all.
No, I have logic. I have logic because what I'm trying to say is
involved in that culture.
Well, I've done nothing this entire time but spit logic, like common sense. And now we've got the host talking about some GTA shit about driving on one side of the road, comparing that to pronouns. You know,
not an analogy. I don't think you understand what an analogy is.
Listen, it is quite a dog shit analogy. Like, at least give me that. It's quite a shit analogy.
Lack of understanding.
It's a bit extreme. I'll say that. I'll say it's a bit extreme.
Dog shit.
Yeah,
but it is analogous in terms of like saying that you can do two things at the same time, and like one of them can be totally fine, and the other one is wrong.
See, here's the thing, though. Now, answer me this: why would a trans person care? Out of a random man they've just met, doesn't call them she, her. Why should they care about that? If they're never going to see again in their life.
It doesn't change who we are, to be abundantly clear, ever, even if we feel like shit. But it often happens repeatedly, and you're just one part of that problem that evolves into something that can be really harmful to us. And science proves this, and whether you accept that or deny it, again, says something about you, not me. So go ahead.
I'm alright with it saying something about me, that's the thing. But are you trying to say that right now, if I call you a woman, you're going to get really, like, hurt? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, that's not what I said.
So it doesn't hurt you?
That's not what I said.
So either you get hurt or you don't get hurt. What one is it?
So, like, as a society, if we just let people continuously say these things, it can lead to like hard, essentially.
And
Yeah,
It's
and
but
that
to
it
what do you
clarify,
mean let
does.
them?
Denner, to clarify, the people that I see on a daily basis affirm who I am to the fullest degree and help make sure that I'm getting the care that I need. Therefore, the every once in a while bitch on live that's like, you're a woman or you're a man, which are both so very incorrect on so many levels, they don't mean shit to me. They don't hurt me. But there are a lot, I mean, a lot of transgender folks that do not have that same kind of support in their lives. I am a very rare case to have that kind of support. So you would be one of many people, again, I'm repeating myself. Hopefully you hear me this time. You would
Oh,
be
I can hear
one of
you, all right.
many instances and many people that would add up to really harming somebody potentially.
Okay, so what I've got from that is that people online call me it, but I don't care because my family, affirms me or something like that. Family, whatever, friends, But here's the thing with that: you're from America. It's a bit nerdy down there. I can't even lie. Not
A
very
bit
hard upbringings
nerdy.
unless you're from like the Bronx. Yeah, it's
What?
nerdy. In England, we don't use nerdy the same way you lot do. It means like just neaky,
Oh,
innit?
fair enough.
Neaky, like just pretty shit. But yeah, I can tell Cole is like she's from an area. I think by her accent, she's from the suburbs of America.
There, I use they them pronouns again, like with the other guest.
Well,
Please
how do
ask
I know
before
you're
you
from? How
dish.
do I know who's they?
Well,
You never told
because you
me.
should ask before you misgender people. You should
So I've got
ask.
to ask everyone I bump into in fucking Mac. Okay,
No, I
picture
didn't
this.
say that.
I walk into Burger King, yeah. I've got
Denner.
to ask
This
like
is a
the
panel about being trans. Therefore, where it's relevant, which is in this panel about being trans and supporting affirming care for being trans, it is relevant for me to bring that up. So I don't. Sorry, I just totally lost my train of thought. I'm
I
getting
saw.
distracted very easily. But
It
yeah, I don't know what you're going on about at this point.
it also
I'm
seems
Like,
to
sorry.
be
it's
like
only
pretty,
relevant in these sort of scenarios.
at
Right, but
least.
picture this, yeah. Cole's from the suburbs. I can just tell. Now, hear me out. In America, the suburbs are just not very rough, are they? They're quite like just neeks. Do you get what I mean?
I mean,
You
it
can walk down
depends
the road of
on
the suburbs.
if you
There's a
go look
little
at the
fat
Chicago
kid
suburbs.
having a
I would say
bike.
that that's not the case. They're really rough
Listen,
Chicago suburbs.
what?
There's really rough suburbs in like areas like Chicago.
No, I'm
So
saying the suburb she's from is like the really like white suburbs that are like proper
They
like posh and all that.
misgender me. It's 3 strikes you're
yeah,
out. I
it's
mean, I
also
already
like,
warned you. Don't do it again.
Listen, I'm just trying to make a point, okay? I'll
wait, well,
stop
hold on,
after
hold on.
like.
I'm not. It's not even like a.
They.
It's not even like a us problem. It's a TikTok has a problem with this. This is explicitly in their community guidelines not to misgender individuals.
So I've got to do it for TikTok.
Yeah, if you don't like it, you can
On
leave
TikTok,
TikTok.
yes.
TikTok. I'll
It,
tell you
it,
what
it
I'll
says
do.
not
I'll tell you
allowed.
what I'll do to make it easier on you for live. I'll just use they them then.
Oh wow, was that so hard?
Yeah, actually. But that
Oh
being said and
no, poor
done,
babe.
I am not a prick, and I'm not going to get your live banned just to get it banned. I'm not a prick. And you know
Yeah,
what?
surely
You've
you're
been
not a
alright to
prick.
me.
That's below like what the
Cole
baseline
hasn't.
of what
Cole's
we
been
should
very nasty
expect
to
from
me.
respectful adults.
Cole's been very sly to me, keep laughing on mute, but the host has been alright to me. Okay?
I can't
Cole,
find things funny and
we're not
express
we're not friends,
myself.
Cole. We're not friends. I don't want to be your
Oh,
friend anymore.
To be
good.
fair to
I don't
them,
want to be your
it's
friend. What makes you think I'd want to be
Well, I'm
your
blocking your
friend?
Roblox after this, Cole.
it is a
I'm
lot more
blocking your Roblox
personal
after
for
this.
them. You do understand this, right? Like this is something that directly
I'm
impacts their
through
day
them.
to day. For me, it does not impact me how transgender people are like, like treated. If anything, it like I am going out of my way to like try to help like society change because I think it's a good thing to do. It's not that like for them it's something that affects them every day. It doesn't affect me at all. So yeah, they might be get a little bit more affected by it, and that should
Yeah,
be
but how are you going to
expected
change it?
by having discussions and taking a while and like this is societies don't change
But having
overnight.
discussions won't change people. There's always going to be
Will you
some
let the
people that are
host
like very,
finish?
very far right.
Are
You
you
know?
upset when people interrupt you?
No.
Well, let's stop doing it to the host regardless, out of respect. Please and
I'm
thank you. It's
sorry.
not your life. It's not my life. It's his life.
If it's not your life, then why are you muting me?
Because I give you
Because I'm a
rights. So,
moderator.
yeah,
Whoa.
I'm a moderator.
Yeah,
Just let the
it's
host finish, alright?
men versus letting people finish. Mission Impossible.
That's right. You called me a man. I thought it was a she/her earlier.
No, I'm making a joke about you in bed and not letting people finish.
No, I never. It's all about my pleasure.
Yeah, I grant that.
Don't give a fuck about the woman's pleasure. It's about my pleasure.
That's about right.
Yeah, this sounds about right for somebody.
Listen, just because you can't come and I
Save
can because you
those
got low
women.
titties.
Save those women. Save those
Yeah, listen,
women.
just because I can come and the host can't, because I've got very high testosterone and he has very low testosterone.
Oh no,
Can't be
it's
doing this.
it's letting both parties finish that's important.
No,
And
you have a
unfortunately for
2-inch
you,
penis
you
and mine is 8 inches, alright?
What is penis
This
size?
is the
Like,
funniest shit I've ever
this is
You've
heard.
got a
hilarious,
2-inch
like-
penis and mine's 8 inches.
for some people who are like trans, they'd be like, yeah, I only have a 2-inch penis. So like your insults
well,
are like
you
hilarious.
do, and you've got a 2-inch penis. What?
I mean, no, I don't, but like I don't care.
You do!
Like,
I can tell by your voice you do.
I didn't want to know that. I'm just sorry. I
See,
didn't.
look,
I'm not
now
sorry.
you
I
have cold
didn't want to
disgusting,
know
host.
that.
You see that? You've disgusted her with your small
No
penis.
one wants to know. No
Ugh.
one wants to know
I
that.
can't believe
We're
you,
strangers.
ferret man.
What's wrong with you?
it's so
This is-
funny
I've got
that
a
I
question
could.
for the
weird
host. I've got a
behavior.
genuine
This is
question
really
for the host.
odd. This is
Host,
really odd
host, do you like
behavior.
ferrets?
Ferrets, they're a type of mustelid. I like mustelids, I guess.
Well, no, your picture's a ferret or a weasel.
No,
One of the
it's
two.
a stoat. Which, well, I guess weasel's correct because stoats are weasels. Yeah. What's the point?
Well, do you like ferrets? Like ferrets, weasels, stuff like that?
I think they're funny. They're vicious little beasts.
You know, in my culture, yeah, we kind of like shoot them with catapults.
You're cool. I don't care. They'll attack you back.
No, because they die on the first hit.
Okay. Can I ask you a question?
Take that, Chavy boy!
What's the shape of Italy?
Get up, Chavy!
Hey, Denner, do you know what the shape of Italy is? What does it look like?
Catapult. Get up, Chavy! Well, you fucking know it. Wait a minute, one
Wow.
more time.
Yeah. Do you know what the shape of
That's
Italy
sad.
is?
Grab the catapult and I take him out.
Yeah, it's
Fucking know it.
it's in the shape of.
Fucking with a bad
Have a
bitch
good
and
day.
named Brittany. Ah!
Okay, whatever. Yeah, that's great. Whoever's whoever's
Oh my
saying let me
God.
join. I'm one warning, and then I'm gonna mute you. Don't say it again in the comments. We'll go in whatever order we
no,
feel
I'm
like.
letting them up because they're gonna crash out surely.
So I got.
Okay, here
so,
we go.
all right, bro. So I got a
Is that
question.
a child?
So
Yeah,
what
you are not 18.
That's a fetus. Let me just mute their account as well to make sure. Okay. Oh Lord, what a trip.
Even.
That was wild. The fact that he's like, I only care about me finishing. I don't care if she can't.
It was so
That
funny
is-
because like I just accurately predicted it too.
And he was so open and straightforward about it. I'm like, are you really gonna say that all about yourself on TikTok Live right now? Are you really going to?
I think I am going to end stream there because that's a really good point to leave off of.
Already?
Yeah, it's been 2
It
hours,
is.
but Sarah's live, so
Zane,
go watch-
in all fairness, has been waiting in the requests for a while.
okay,
but
we'll
if you
do
want to
Zane.
get off, that's fine.
we could do Zane and then we're done.
I didn't mean to like pressure you or
Come on,
anything.
come on,
but
with the peer pressure, Cole. Come on, stop it. I'm kidding. Hi Zane, can I get your age and pronouns, please?
Yeah, I'm 26. See him.
Do you disagree with the prompt?
Yeah, I mean, what Den had said, he was spot on. You know, he's my best mate, so.
Oh.
Oh no.
What's up?
Maybe we can just abort mission. It's your call at this point.
I can't. I just can't. We're done. Oh my god. And on that bombshell, I think it's time to end. I am going to send you somewhere, so please wait. And are they not live right now? Are they still live? Give me. Okay, so they are, and now I can do there we go. I can do it that way. Off we go.
Son of Zinc is still alive. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's
uh,
insane. That's like an insane take. So you think, you know, like it's crazy because we have such little historical evidence